Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to the stream. Hiya, Becca. Hello. Nice of you to come by to watch the stream in your lunch break. Very nice. Thank you so much for the follows. That's I'm just scrolling through the notification. It's crazy. Thank you, KHF, Lizzie, Dagcher, Owloctic, there's Baby Blue Becca, and Zimap. Thank you so much for the follows. Really kind of you. Right, so I am going to get right into it today, I think. I'll switch over to this screen so people will know that the stream has started. So the idea of today is for me to go through the two animatics that I've made recently. You might have seen them. Hiya! Hiya, Zazie! Welcome! I'm going to go through both animatics that you might have watched. Maybe. And yeah, kind of explain my process, what goes through my brain when drawing an animatic or any kind of thing like that, and how I made these two. I will start with the Who Are You Really animatic, which is why we're on this screen here. You're going to have to bear with me generally throughout the entire stream because I'm really juggling with a lot of screens and like, yeah, I've got, basically my setup is I've got one computer screen. I've got my iPad next to me from which I can also edit the stream deck. So yeah, basically the way I'm going to do it is we're going to watch the animatics at some point and we'll go through it. But I'll do that from my computer. Window sharing, so showing the entire window. So I'll have to have a fiddle with different setups, and if something goes wrong, bear with me because I've never done it like this before. It's always either It's always either It's always either been always on the computer or always on the iPad. But we're going to mix it up a little bit where I'm going to control half of it from the iPad, control half of it from my computer. You know how it is. Anyway, it's going to be a bit of juggling today, so bear with me. Some things that I do want to say. What do I want to say? Thank you so much for the support. The support has been amazing on both of the animatics. It's just been crazy. I never expected it to from as many people to enjoy it as they have. So it's awesome. I've had a great time doing them. Now that they're over, I'm not sure what kind of animatic or project I'll do next, but we'll see. We'll see. Hello, Stiluetto. Is that correct? Stiluetto. Yes. As a warning, I'm also terrible at reading names. Hi, welcome to the chat. Welcome to the stream. So, I'm going to start out here because this is what we have here currently is a projection of my iPad because I work like 90% of the work. Actually, no, that's a lie. Some of it is traditional art. Some of it is awesome. Good to know that I got your name right. Some of it is traditional art. Some of it is 90% of it is traditional art, but I also got the editing. So let's say, I don't know, 80% of the animatic is done on the iPad. And with this particular animatic, the Who Are You Really animatic, I actually planned it on the iPad, which is something that I don't usually do. I usually plan it in like a sketchbook. But I did it on my iPad here in an app called what's the app called? Notebook. I think it's called Notebook. It's a really good note-taking app. But basically, I didn't have my sketchbook with me on the day that I decided that I was going to start this animatic. And just as a little backstory with that as well, I literally decided that I was going to draw an animatic a day after the first Last Life things came out, first Last Life episodes came out. I remember I kind of went back through some like group chats where I explained it. I remember sending a voice memo to a friend where I was freaking out about Last Life, how it was awesome. And I just immediately knew from the get-go, as soon as I heard that they were doing a boogeyman, and as soon as I heard the concept of the boogeyman, that the song Who Are You Really would be perfect for an animatic for this. So that's exactly why I already... Basically, I listened back to the voice memo that I sent. It's basically just me singing the lyrics and then explaining what I want to happen. It was a real scuffed voice memo. I'm very sorry, Crumble, if you like looking back, it was very scuffed. If you're here, but yeah, Crumble, my friend, my good friend Crumble, who also loves Last Life. Anyway, so yeah, I literally planned out the first week what was going to happen in the animatic, which happens in the first week, like a day after the episodes came out. So yeah, here we are in my thing, in my notebook, I guess. And here I basically wrote down all the lyrics and had like notes on what I wanted to do with them. Usually I do little thumbnail drawings. I didn't do that for either of these really, but for other animatics I have done that. These were all a bit like rushed in the sense of I was so inspired that I just had to do it as quickly as possible. I had to get these drawings done. I had to colour it. It was like I was possessed to get these animatics done. But so we're going to have a look at just a quick look through like my notes here. I'm so sorry about the writing. I'm so sorry. It's bad, I know, but it was me in the right yeah, just me trying to take notes as quickly as I could. But basically what I have here is the intro. So you've got like the 3 dun 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 in that you have in the intro. I really underestimated the length of the intro of Who Are You Really? I thought it was only like 4 beats, but it ended up being these 4 beats. So this one, oh, that's totally not an arrow. This one here, this one, and this one, and then 6 more beats. So I kind of had to divide it up there, but I'll go into the dividing up of why I divided up the way it did when we actually watch the animatic. As a thing also when we're watching the animatic, because the songs are copyrighted. Actually, I don't think Who Are You Really is copyrighted on YouTube. I don't think that is the case, but I'm going to mute them because I don't want to run the risk of getting DMCA'd. So basically, usually my entire process of doing animatics is that I just write down the lyrics first. And then I kind of underline the lyrics in different colours, so you kind of see we've got a dark red at the beginning first, and then we've got a dark blue. Just to kind of show that there's a cut. And I kind of describe what happens. Yeah, what happens in that frame. I mean, yeah, the first frame is Scar giving Green his life, and then Tango holding his lives in the You Bet Your Life minigame. I've also got editing notes here in yellow, and they get more and more scuffed as time goes on. If yeah, it gets really bad. Actually, the writing isn't terrible right here, but the editing notes kind of just have like moving background, swipe across, kind of like basically the movements that I wanted to have, because I draw full-fledged illustrations on different layers, and then I copy them across using Dropbox. I copy them to my computer in multiple PNG files, and then I drop them into an editing program called Davinci Resolve, which is an awesome editing program, by the way, and completely free. It's crazy. So yeah, that's what I use to edit these animatics, in case anyone was wondering. Oh yeah, by the way, I do have, I've written it at the top of the screen. Let's see if I can show this on the iPad, because I can't actually see it on the iPad. Right here. Oh, that's a terrible arrow. I can't draw arrows tonight. Good thing I'm not doing any drawing. Kind of like there, I guess. You can see I have you can ask any questions if you want. Feel free to ask any questions if you have any. So feel free to just completely interrupt me with anything if you have any kind of questions concerning the animatic or process, or like, I don't know, any Last Life, or I don't know, general questions, whatever you feel like asking. Feel free to. I'll answer as much as I can to the best of my ability. But anyway, if we kind of go on here, we've got more different, yeah, we've got different notes, more and more. Like here we see like the notes change. I have nothing left to prove. Scott and Pearl were going to be in a cave there. I did end up drawing Scott and Pearl in a cave, but in the Everybody Wants to Rule the World animatic, we have the interludes and a whole bunch of weird editing notes that, honestly, a lot of this probably doesn't make sense. yeah, I have also had some extra ideas that I might that I'd be able to fungober. I'm sorry if anyone heard that. I had some extras that I could maybe use, but for instance, like Avengers Tower there. How long one took to complete? Ooh, concept of publishing. So on the first animatic, I have to say, the first animatic in Procreate, which is a program that I use to draw, you can actually see how long it takes. Actually, I'll show this quickly. You can see how long it takes a drawing to be finished. So let's just show this with like one of the. So we're here on Procreate on my iPad. You can actually see, if you go down here, how long it takes the drawing to finish. So this one took 2.5 hours, for instance. And on the previous animatic, what I did was I copied a lot of pictures, which means it would add up. So like the building of that one took like, what, 6 hours maybe? But I couldn't really accurately do the maths on how long it took to make that one. So I couldn't tell you how long it took me to do the Who Are You Really animatic. But I actually did the maths on the Everyone Wants to Rule the World animatic. I actually summed it all up with editing time. I didn't really count the time where I kind of had the concept and planned out the ideas in my sketchbook, because there's not an actual way that I can time that. But from drawing the... Oh, hiya, Sammy. Thank you so much for the follow. From the drawing to the editing, that added up. For the Everyone Wants to Rule the World animatic took over 125 hours. So I added that up and it took that long. 125 hours in the span of a month. So yeah, I kind of worked really hard. Honestly, I finished on Sunday. I edited it all Sunday long in one foul swoop. And then just set it to premiere on the Monday. Monday, I was just ill. I was sick the entire Monday from just burnout, and I'd worked myself to the bone that weekend just to get it finished. So I was really happy when I did get it finished. It was very, very cool. Anyway, wow, that's dedication. Yeah. Oh, thank you very much. It took so long, but I honestly, my favorite part of the animatic, of working like on an animatic, is the coloring. So that's the whole thing. What's my favorite picture from the first animatic? Oh, dude, you're asking me that now. Oh, that's really hard, man. That's so hard. Hold on, let me just go to my pictures, because they've got them in my pictures. Let me just kind of scroll through to give myself a feel. Let's see. Let's kind of go through them. That's really hard, man. So I've got this one as my background picture, because I think it just makes a really nice background picture. So I do really like this one. Just for the simplicity of it. I'm just quickly going through with the thoughts. I do like the landscape shots, I must say. Must be like picking favorite children. Yeah, exactly. If you go on our Instagram account, I think that's kind of a good summary. I really like this one as well. This is like my lock screen picture. And this was also one of the first ones I completed, and it just really motivated me to get it done as quickly as I did. It's quite tricky. This is also a very good one. It's a very poignant one with Joel going absolutely mental. But yeah, it's hard to pick a favorite. It's really hard. But if we go back to my notes, I don't know if I've finished all that I wanted to talk about there. So, yeah, I have extras, I've crossed out stuff. And as you can tell, I did this week by week. Which of Mumbo's deaths did I have in mind for that picture? That was, that Mumbo one was when he was burning, Good point, actually, because he burned twice, didn't he? I think I had both of them in... So this is like Mumbo in week 2, I think, when he both burnt in the nether and was also placed in lava by Scar. So I kind of think I had both of them in mind, and that's why I added it, because it was such a... where you could kind of interpret it yourself, how many... which death you wanted it to be, whether it being death by Boogie Scar or death by Piglin Brute, I guess. So yeah, it was just... Mumbo was on fire that entire episode. I think I also had in mind that Mumbo was kind of like, I think, burning. There was a glitch where Mumbo was on fire when he respawned, and he was on fire for quite a while. So maybe I think I had that in my head as well. So yeah, towards the end here, I was kind of running out of song, and I didn't know how many more weeks I wanted to add. So I kind of just, I had to cut it, and I wanted a good ending, and I thought the ending of, hiya Lauren, welcome to the chat. Thank you for saying hi. Oh, thank you for the follow as well. Thank you. And yeah, I was running out of time here. I wanted a good ending, so I thought like the 4 reds, which were at that time B-dubs, Joel, Green, and Clio, was a good ending with how they were to just made an account. Awesome! Welcome to Twitch. Welcome to Twitch. And yeah, I was running out of time here, so I kind of, a lot of this is very chaotic because I didn't really know what I was doing and where I was going to stop. But it all ended up working out quite well, stopping at the end of the of week 4. And here we've got kind of like a bit of trivia, I guess. Phone go burr. Phone go burr. I'm so sorry if that's audible. I've got the stream open on my phone so that I can, for later, so I can kind of see what it looks like. So yeah, here we can see to the left how many people take part in the animatic, how many times you see the person in the animatic. Yeah, Green the most, interestingly enough. I guess when he was killed by B-dubs, that was quite a big one, and also when he fell off the nether platform, that was also like multiple frames, I guess. But yeah, so that's kind of like how many times each person was in the animatic. I have to say, I feel really guilty. We're down here, for instance, we only have Skiz. Skizzleman was only in the Who Are You Really animatic once, and only in the Everybody Wants to Rule the World animatic once, and I feel a bit guilty for it. But I didn't really watch him, and he didn't really have an interesting storyline to my... Well, that might be because I wasn't really watching him or his perspective. But yeah, there wasn't really anything that I could add him to, so I do feel a bit bad that I only drew the guy twice, but you know, that's how it be. I've got a limited amount of song, and I definitely felt this in the Everybody Wants to Rule the World animatic, that I was running out of song. And there was so much that I wanted to draw, and I just had to keep it really short. So yeah, I did my man Skiz dirty there, I'm afraid. But who knows? If they make a season 3, maybe there'll be more Skizzleman there. And just generally more people. I felt also really bad in this one for only drawing Impulse once, because like Impulse was such a solid part of my Last Life experience. He was always one of the first people that I watched. So I felt really bad that I only drew him on. And when I drew him, it was like him on the Wanted poster, right? And also him drawing it. Skiz was the glue for best. He got done dirty in the actual series. True. That is true. That is definitely, yeah. I didn't draw him red at all. I felt it's tell you what, it's really difficult to try and tell 17 people's stories in 1 or 2 songs. It's so hard. I wish Tango had joined him on red after the B-dubs betrayal. Hey, that would have been such a good thing. Oh, that would have been so cool. You know what I wish we would have had more of? I wish we would have had more Imp and Skiz when both Impulse and Skiz were red and they were rampaging about. I wish Skizzleman hadn't been killed so early, because those two are such a cool team. And I really hope that they maybe team up in... If they make a season 3, I know it's not sure, I know it's not like confirmed, but if they make a season 3, then it'd be really cool if we saw Impulse and Skizzleman team up. Because they are such good friends. IRL, they got great chemistry. Bounce off each other really well. Anyway. So yeah, and also on the right here, we've got the progress update that I kept updating in the sense. You would bet your left arm there will be a season 3. Yeah, it was so successful and so many people loved it. If they didn't do a season 3, I'd be sad. But you bet that when they do a season 3 that there will be art coming from this channel. You'll either see it on Tables of Everen or on the Everen YouTube channel, or you'll see me here drawing it. So yeah, on the right here we've got the progress update that I just kept adding to and editing, just to kind of give myself a hope that it is almost finished. So yeah, total pieces 58 in the end. The Everyone Wants to Rule the World Animatic had 55, 56, I think, something like that. So yeah. But now I think it's time, and this is where I've got to do a bit of juggling. Looking forward to season 3 and my Animatic in season 3. Well, we'll see. I do need to be inspired for something, but I'm sure season 3 will inspire me. Anyway, I've got to do some juggling here, so bear with me. Is this gonna work? Is this gonna work? And we have window capture. Now, can everyone see this? I'm just gonna wait for my phone to update, to catch up, and hopefully that's going to be visible. Let's see. Is it visible? Because I actually can't see my screen. Streamlabs screen, it's all gone. Also, I can't see chat for a second, so give me a hot second. For some reason. Silhouette, okay, thank you so much. Have to go, but want to say thanks for sharing this. You're an inspiration to your own animatic. Oh, that's so cool. I'm so happy that I can be an inspiration. Anyone making any art, no matter how good you think you are, trust me, you're a lot better than you think you are always. Just get yourself out your comfort zone. And yeah, I'm so happy that I could be an inspiration to anyone. Because I just love creating, I love putting stuff out there, and everything. If you create on this earth, then you are awesome. That's something that you can leave behind on this earth, just creating. Anyway, let's watch the animatic. Like I said, it is on. Oh, I tell you what. Feel free to ask any questions if I have any. Is totally over the wrong thing. So I'm just going to quickly edit that because that is very infuriating. Actually, no. You know what? I can't edit that. Darn it! I can't edit it. Oh well, we're just going to have to live with it. Actually, I might do it in cinematic. I might do it in the cinematic mode so that you can kind of see it, I hope. So it's not covering the title. Anyway, let's start. Like I said, it's not going to be, it's going to be muted because I don't want to be DMCA'd. So yeah, that would be helpful. Right, let us begin. I do actually have notes. I started taking notes, just like watching the animatic a couple times, taking notes what I thought what was going to happen, or thought of it, like going back to while I was creating it. But I didn't take notes very far in. I took like 2 pages of notes and they were very detailed, and then I just gave up. So we're just gonna take it here. Also, this is crazy. Thank you so much. I can't believe 100,000 people saw my art. This is just, I am so overwhelmed by everyone's kind words, everyone taking the time to comment, to you guys taking the time to be here. It's just so cool. I love this community. It's one of the best communities I've been a part of. And I'm staying forever as long as this community exists. It's awesome. Anyway, let's begin. Did you end up refining the designs of your characters as the series progressed? I'll tell you what, I'll get to that in more detail when we watch the Everyone Wants to Rule the World animatic, because there are a couple design changes that I made, like conscious design changes. Some of them were kind of subconscious with just my art style changing slightly as I continued drawing. But yeah, I'll just start playing and then we can have a look. I tell you what, the intro was way longer than I remembered. I think I already said this, but it was longer beats. Actually, I tell you what, I'll already stop at the different... Oh, thank you so much. I'll stop at the different alliances that we had. Oh. So we've got... So firstly, just kind of explaining the alliances. Obviously, the Southlands here. There's not much to explain there. I did the little heart design kind of to show how many lives they had at the beginning. They were given. Someone in the comment section, and I thought this is probably exactly where I got the inspiration from, was someone said that the hearts look like the hearts that you have in like a webcomic called Siren's Lament, and it was one of the first webcomics I ever read, and it was brilliant, and I loved it so many years back. And I totally get that. That was probably some subconscious inspiration that I took from Siren's Lament. So, not my design. Check out the webcomic. It's awesome. It's on Webtoon. Yeah. So that's kind of where the inspiration from the hearts came from. I also wanted to keep the designs of characters very simple, but also make them incredibly recognizable. So I think I did an okay job at that. I'm very happy with how the simplified designs turned out. I usually overthink things and over detail it, as you can probably tell with the rest of the art, but I was really happy with these designs. I kind of knocked them all out in an evening. And yeah. So here we have the Southlands, Southerners. Also, the height differences. Can we just appreciate Green's the shortest? And I kind of enjoyed playing a bit with the height, and it gave me a good reference for how tall they are in comparison to everyone else, just kind of having them lined up like this. So that was quite helpful. Now here I want to explain why I put these 5 together. This was in week 2 when I drew these. So this, like, the week 2 episodes had come out. And basically it kind of looked like Rendog was still living close to Pearl and Scott, and Scar and Joel were also in the vicinity. So I kind of, yeah, I put those together. Ren actually fits a lot more with the together with the fairy fort, obviously, but that is further along in the story where I had already drawn these. So there you go. There's the thing of working as the time goes on. Team Best went together quite nicely. I tell you what, I was really happy with Tango's hair. I've drawn Tango a couple times before this, and just his hair is always very sharp and spiky. I love drawing Tango. It's a lot of fun to draw. Drawing Mumbo is also a lot of fun. Who else is loads of fun to draw? There's a couple of characters that I just... Scott is so much fun to draw. There's just some characters that I love drawing. So yeah. Definitely those 3. And like I said, it was very important for me to make everyone recognizable, so I thought B-Dubs needs to have a mouth. The only person to have a mouth, if someone is going to have a big smiling mouth, it was going to be B-Dubs. And then we have the final 3. Clio, Big B, and Lizzie. I kind of wanted to make like some of Clio bones, because, you know, zombiness and stuff, but it's a bit inconsistent as the time goes on, if I'm being honest, because I was just a bit too lazy to draw bones every now and again. But yeah, so that was, I think, 5? Was that 5? So we've got Southlands, we've got Ren, Best, and oh no, that's only that. So that was 4 peeps, 4 groups, and then I just used the rest of the intro to introduce the animatic, I guess. Also, the content warnings. I knew there was going to be blood and death, and the creepy B-Dubs. B-Dubs was a lot more creepy while I was working on this animatic, and I had to turn down the creep. Give me a sec. I'm just going to take a sip of something to drink. B-Dubs creeped me out when I was drawing him. I found it very difficult to make his eyes and his mouth characteristically big. So he was a lot more creepy when I wrote this. But, you know, I kind of dialed down the creep. He's still quite creepy in, like, the last frame with his red skin. Because I thought I could go overboard with that. But, you know, definitely dialed down the creep on that. So, let us begin the first frame. Obviously this is when Green was taking a life from Scar. Yeah, let's be honest, B-Dub's Minecraft skin is just creepy. It's just the way it is. So I'm just gonna have a quick look at my notes for this one, because I had a couple of things. So I didn't draw Scar in his diamond armor because I'm terrible at drawing armor and it's not a lot of fun. So I just drew him in like his because he's got so many different outfits Scar has. What I did was I drew him in like his default adventurer's outfit, like Indiana Jones jacket that he had ages and ages ago. It was just kind of like something I defaulted to. I think when I googled, because something that I did was I screenshotted every single skin of all the characters, just to have like a color reference and always know kind of whose shoe, what kind of shoes does someone have, or you know, what's the color of their trousers, because you've got the normal way that they look, but you don't always have those kind of details in your head. So yeah, I actually, with the character design, I tried to keep as close to the skins as I could. Don't think anyone ever sees Scar's face in this animatic, funny enough. Do we not? I think we do in this one. We do, actually. We've got one point where Scar's... where we can see Scar's face when he's Boogeyman with Joel. Let's see, where is it? Where would it be? There it is. There we got Scar right there. The Wizard Bros. Honestly, again, we were robbed of this duo. I feel like this would have been an awesome duo. The stuff, the shenanigans they got up to when at the end of the first episode were just awesome. So yeah, we have got Scar. Honestly, I love drawing Scar as well. I like just the cheery personality, but also like a bit scary when it comes to Third and Last Life. A bit like a silver-tongued salesman. But also the scars. I love just drawing the scars. They're nice. I tell you what, when it comes to life-giving, I had no idea what I was doing in this animatic. This was just like a single brush that I put on bloom and then made a bit fuzzy. I had no idea. I had no consistency in how it was going to look. The life-giving, and I think it's different in every single frame in this animatic. It definitely gets a lot more consistent in the next one. So at least there's that. At least I've kind of got a style now on how to draw the life-giving. Even though Last Life is over, but you know, it might be a feature in the next season, then I can use the same tactic that I used in Everybody Wants to Rule the World. So yeah, this was just a bit... I didn't really think much about this. And I tell you what, with this drawing, it maybe people notice it looks a bit flat. That's because there's no movement like between the characters. I was very unhappy with the colours in this drawing, or like the saturation and the tones. So basically what I did was I saved the entire drawing as a PNG file, and then just went to like the photo app on the iPad, on the Apple iPad, and just pressed the auto button in edit, so it kind of like automatically does some brightness and saturation edits and contrast and all that to your picture, and then that looked a lot better than the actual drawing that I did. So you know what, I just copied that back in, and that's why it's only, this drawing entirely is only on one layer, which in comparison to everything else is why it looks so much less dynamic. And maybe you didn't notice, maybe I just ruined it for you. I'm so sorry if I did. Anyway, if we continue on, I wonder, do I have any more notes? I think I'm alright. I'm just not probably going to look at my notes, really. Just going to ramble, because that's something that apparently I'm doing now. Tango. Here we have a tango. We do love ourselves a tango. I tell you what, I miscounted how many totems he had at the beginning. And I put in, I think, 6 at first. And then I realised he wasn't actually that successful in his You Bet Your Life. I'm just trying to think. I'm not sure if I counted the one that Lizzie requested from him, because I think she took part in the You Bet Your Life in the second week. I'm not sure if I counted that or not. But yeah, I kind of went back and tried to figure out how many totems I was going to put in here. And once again, another different way of showing lives in Last Life, which I never use again. So consistency, great. I tell you what, also, this picture here, this drawing, the only time you're going to see line art as clean as this is here, because it just goes downhill from there. It just, yeah. I was still quite motivated to do really clean line art here, but it didn't last long. The way I do drawings is I do kind of like a build, I guess you can call it. Like I build up the way the character looks and like the pose, and then I just immediately do the line art on top, because line art I find is the most ungratifying thing to do when drawing. So basically my sketch layer and my line art layer are one. Like the facial features, this is the first time I drew the facial features just immediately on the line art layer, so that's the way I work. That's the way I like to work. So yeah, it doesn't get any cleaner than this. This is as clean as you're going to get it. Also, totems, a whole bunch of copy pasting here, in case you didn't notice. I was really happy with how the background turned out, by the way, because, well, not because, I don't know why, but I was really happy with how the background turned out. So much so that in Everybody Wants to Rule the World, I tried to kind of replicate it as a reference to this frame. And I just couldn't. It was so hard. I just couldn't do it again. I don't know the process that I went through to make this background, but I couldn't do it again. So yeah, that's never happening again, that kind of background. I don't know why I like it as much as I do. I just kind of enjoy it. Like the fuzzy background, like he's in a forest and turning around quickly, I don't know. I also had fun with the movements of the totems on this one. So if we kind of go back a little bit here, kind of like them zooming out and then kind of going in again. On to the next one. That's annoying. What's annoying? I have no idea what I was talking about when you said that that's annoying. Oh, that I couldn't replicate the background. Yeah, that is quite... It's quite sad. I spent a good like 30 minutes trying to get background. That was very simple, but honestly, I'll tell you which frame it was when we watch Everybody Wants to Rule the World. But it was quite. I'm quite happy with how the new background turned out. So you know. Then we've got this one, and again so here we have a zombie Clio, for instance, that has got inconsistently showing different bones, if that makes sense. She's inconsistently a skeleton in some places, where she isn't in others. For instance, this shoulder is supposed to be white as a bone. It's not. I only realised that after I uploaded the animatic. But I was staying true to her skin in the sense of her rib cage is visible on her skin. So I kind of wanted to just make her centre area, I guess, literally just floating bones. So I thought I quite liked that as a design idea. And did I mention already, I colour picked the colours from the characters just to keep it as true to what they look like as possible. And for for these skins, for these Minecraft characters, it's a lot easier to do it for them than it is for Dream SMP characters, because my goodness, the skins of the Dream SMP characters, have you tried colouring out Tommy in it from just using the colours on his skin? It's so unnatural, it does not look good. So I couldn't do that for the Dream SMP, but I was able to do it for Last Life. What else do I have to say for this one? This background, so difficult to do. I did it like 3 times. I was not warmed up on backgrounds at that point. It was one of the first that I did. So yeah, I did it. I got there in the end, I guess. Also, I love this transition. Whew. I love that. I also love the dynamic that Clio and Lizzie had in the first episode, especially when Clio went to visit her in her fairy fort, you know, the flammable fairy fort, the very flammable fairy fort, as we realise in the future. And it's paired to the lyric, "You are a stranger here, why have you come, why have you come?" And I quite liked, that was like, when I heard the song, that was the exact moment that I definitely wanted here. So yeah. Then we got these two, the Aha boys, them who play the fun British game. Honestly, I loved the Aha. Who didn't? Who didn't love the Aha? It was so good. It was such. I I watched every single perspective of the Southlanders, and I just didn't skip through any of it. It was so good every single time. I loved it. It's one of the best parts of Last Life, honestly. It was so good. The Aha team. So yeah, I had to obviously involve these two in it. And it's the lyric, look at the sun, look at the sun. So, you know, they're looking through spyglasses, looking at the sun going, ha. But yeah. I like the simplicity of this one. The aha jokes were brilliant. Yes, they were. Good one. It just goes to show. I think it's really hard to say, but I really love the Southlanders dynamic. Because I am a huge fan of Martins. Oh gosh. They were brilliant. Yeah, they were. Because I'm a huge fan of Martins because I've been watching him since like 2012, 2013, when he was like part of the Yogscast and stuff. I don't know who's aware of what Martin does or used to do. And through Martin, I discovered Grian in the Evolution series, in the Evolution SMP. And through Grian, I discovered Hermitcraft and all the other peeps. I guess through Grian, and like a stream that through MCC, I can't remember what MCC it was, but where Grian and Martin and Joel and I think Jimmy, was that those four? I can't remember, but those were in a team in MCC, and that's where Grian Dreamslayer happened. And through Grian slaying Dream that much is how I discovered Dream and the whole Dream SMP. So I thank Martin for so much in the Minecraft community, exposing me to so much. And just seeing him active in the Minecraft sphere again has just been great with Last Life and Third Life. I love it. Anyway, these two looking off into the distance. Aha! Also, side note, Martin's little sapling swirl logo thing that he has, so fun to draw. So it's just so fun to do it in one line, and it's the perfect one. And yes, it's so satisfying. Anyway, let's continue. And obviously they're looking at the Southlands towers. I tell you what, when I first drew this, I didn't know exactly what the towers looked like, so I just kind of did 5, and you hear me right, 5 different kind of ish towers in the sketch. And then I watched the episode again and took many, many screenshots because I needed all the references. Mumbo didn't build a tower. I noticed this way too late, so I had to delete an entire tower, I guess, from a sketch. So, yeah. These little pokey out things, oopsie. These little pokey out things are supposed to be part of Mumbo's base, I guess. So, yeah. Don't think there's much more to say on this one. It's just a bunch of Tahawers. Tahawers. Does that work? I don't know. I don't know. And then there's blurring. I tell you what, I didn't do any blurring in Everybody Wants to Rule the World. It's a tool that I really love to use, but I literally just forgot about it in Everybody Wants to Rule the World. I forgot that it existed. Anyway, now on to this one. And this is the first chorus, going into the first chorus, like, who are you really? And this one wasn't actually like a moment from the series. It was more kind of like showing the new members to the server, which obviously were Lizzie, Mumbo, and Pearl. The new members to the server, kind of like, they have no idea what they're in for. They have no idea what they're about to experience. The chaos that is Last Life. Everyone else had Third Life, where they kind of now know what to expect, but these three, getting thrown in the deep end. And kind of like, you know, the fresh faces. The green reflection of the lives, yeah. I love like drawing highlights and that sort of stuff. And it was also very convenient because they all had dark green lives, so, you know, I could draw the hearts like that. Again, this background was another background where I had no idea what I was doing. I was just doing a whole bunch of stuff until I finally decided I've had enough of drawing backgrounds, I'm moving on to the next one. So it ended up being a bit of a traffic light, but kind of like illustrating the names, I guess. going down to red, from green to yellow to red. Yeah. I really loved doing these hearts as well. It was a lot of fun. You do have to go, but you wanted to know how I feel about people redrawing frames from the animation, because some I love the concept of. Oh, tell you what, feel free to. I mean, as long as you obviously credit and give credit where to and like reference us in the redraw. But I'd love to see it if you do. I don't have Twitter, but like tag me on Instagram and stuff. That would be awesome. Tales of Everen. Do that, please do some redrawing. I'd love that. I'd love to see that. That would be. I'd feel really. Oops, sorry, I knocked my microphone. I'd feel honoured if anyone redrew any of my art, and if I could inspire anyone, like with the poses or goodness knows what, to give it a shot themselves. Please do. Let me know when you do it. Gosh. And thank you for stopping by, Zays. See ya another time. So yeah, this wasn't an actual like normal frame. Bye-bye. This wasn't actually like what am I saying? This wasn't actually like a moment in the animatic. In the animatic, of course it's a moment in the animatic. Let me just gather my thoughts again and then I'll start again. It wasn't a moment in Last Life, like a scene, but it was more just kind of introducing the 3 new characters to something that they had no idea what they were in for. Yeah, I loved drawing Mumbo. Mumbo was a lot of fun to draw. I loved drawing him a little more. I love drawing him like in a handsome way. I don't know. I like a guy in a suit, I guess. So yeah, I liked making him as handsome as I could. Yeah, let's continue. And this next one, I'm zooming in ominously. This next one, I traced this. I've got to be honest. I've got to be honest. I can't draw a horse, so I did tracing on this. But shh. This is exclusive. You heard nothing from me. Also attempted some cell shading with Scar in his diamond armor. Attempted armor with cell shading. For some reason, he's got armor on the sole of his shoe. I don't know. No idea. But yeah, this was slightly. This took a long time to do, but it was basically just me cheating a bit because I kind of wanted a running animation, but I knew it would look really janky if I just tried to do it myself, and I wanted to make it look a bit more streamlined. I mean, it still looks quite janky, but honestly, it's just for a short amount of time. And I love the where are you going? So that worked really well for that lyric. With Scar riding on yellow snow. With a dirty grey background like the sunset. Moving on. I think I'm coming towards the end of where I took notes. It probably doesn't sound like I've been looking at notes, but I kind of have. I'm just going to have a quick look to see if there's anything that I missed. No, I don't think so. Yeah. So we have Etho and B-dubs for the first time. I tell you what, I love the Etho and B-dubs relationship. They're kind of like the way they bounce off each other. It's so much fun to watch. This, like, next to the Southerners, this was my favorite dynamic to watch. Like, if you're just talking about 2 people, it was definitely these 2. I loved watching these 2. So it was a good time. I did love the B-dubs Etho dynamic. Also, the tragedy of the ending of their story with B-dub's death. Oh, so many good animatics have come from it, and like from that moment. And I really wish I could have dragged it out more in Everybody Wants to Rule the World, but I just had to keep it short. But oh gosh, B-dub's final death was such a tragedy. It was so terrible. Oh, man. I'm sure we all cried. I definitely cried. So yeah, B-dubs and Etho's dynamic is awesome. I love it. I think mainly these 2 got like a glow up a little bit in their design. in the next animatic in Everybody Wants to Rule the World, because I wasn't too happy with how I drew either of them, like from the hair and just the structure of the face and Etho's thing. Such a shame he never uploaded his perspective for it. I know I think he had like a glitch with his recording or something. It's such a shame that he wasn't able to upload his final perspective. But yeah, because honestly, I was sat there waiting to watch his perspective because I knew what had happened and I knew his whole story. And I was sat there waiting to watch the perspective, but it never came. And I felt so cheated on. But yeah, I felt so bamboozled. Etho and B-dubs, gotta love them. Can we just talk about how Etho predicted that B-dubs was going to become the boogeyman? Because I feel like that's not mentioned enough. Etho literally just before they became boogeymen in the first, just before the boogeyman was announced in the first episode, Etho was like, so this is where, you can hear his last words in Skiz's video at least. You can hear his last words in Skiz's video, really? I didn't think I watched Skiz's video of that. I watched the Reds hunting him down. I'm gonna write that down. I'm gonna write that down. Watch, all in caps, by the way. Skiz. Was it his final episode? Did he die then? No, he didn't. He died the next episode, didn't he? Gosh, my brain. No, he died that episode. Watch Skiz's video. Like I said, I didn't really watch Skiz's perspective. I watched a lot of perspectives, but not all of them. It was something like, Etho, I'm ready past the life. Oh! Bless him! Oh, that's tragic! You've just destroyed everything for me. I can't believe it. Oh. If it hadn't been done before, because the way I do animatics is I like to do stuff that people haven't done before, in the sense where, because I don't kind of do scenes, like entire scenes, because people usually animate them very quickly. And they get them out and they're amazing, and I just don't feel like I could compete with that, because I feel like I'd just be doing something that lots of people have been doing already, and I want to add something new to the tape, if that makes sense. Hence these animatics, which is why I haven't done any kind of like scenes with voiceovers from the Dream SMP or Last Life, I guess. But honestly, I'm really tempted to do like B-dub's final moments, and like the whole final storyline with B-dubs and Etho. That I'm kind of tempted, but I also think I kind of need to move on to the next project and not hang around Last Life for too long. But we'll see. We'll see how motivated I am. And if it happens, I don't think it'll be a coloured out animatic. So we'll see. We'll see. But oh gosh, those two, heartbreaking. Absolutely heartbreaking. And yeah, Etho just predicted B-dubs becoming the boogeyman. I mean, how? How did he just like immediately know that? And everyone just glossed over it, I feel like. I was just kind of a bit gobsmacked when it happened. Like, dude, Etho, how do you know? But yeah. That was just that moment. I couldn't. Anyway, I want to mention my thought behind and explain my thought behind the purple of the boogeyman. I know it was kind of like drawn in red, I think, as like the text box. But you already had red lives, so I definitely wanted to keep them distinct from the red lives, make them completely different. And you know, purple was a colour that we didn't have yet, and purple is a colour that is seen as a fairly evil colour, and often, or can be. So yeah, that's my reasoning. And I also wanted like glowing eyes and white pupils, and just definitely make it super obvious that this is killed by a boogeyman. I mean, let's be honest, I also just love drawing purple eyes. And the way I kind of saw the boogeyman curse was kind of like the character being a bit possessed or slightly possessed for a short amount of time, because and like the I don't know if this is a phrase that exists in English when you see red, which means you're really angry. So you got like a red filter over your eyes. I'm not sure if this is a saying that you can use in English, but it's a saying in German, I think, or the other way around. I don't know. But if you see red, then you're just really angry that you've basically got a red filter over your eyes. That's the whole idea with like the boogeyman, that they have like this purple filter over them that kind of makes them not really sure on what they're doing, and they do regret, most of the time, they do regret killing who they did kill, because, yeah, there's obviously some turmoil in there, like, don't want to kill my allies, especially when it's Big B betraying Clio. Whoopsie, just dropped my pen. Or, you know, Lizzie was also very regretful when she had to boogie kill Pearl and all that. So yeah, it's kind of like they've got like this filter over them, so they don't really know what they're doing. But yeah, they don't have full control over themselves. It's like they just see purple. It's the curse of the boogeyman, the purple filter, I guess. And that's kind of what I wanted to depict here. Like B-Dubs is now seeing everything in a slightly more purple hue, apart from himself, because he's the boogeyman. And so we're seeing this scene out of B-Dubs' perspective in that sense. And he's distracted by the curse with that thought in the back of his mind that he needs to kill someone before the session's over. So, you know, that's that part. This one was, this drawing was, this was like the reason why I thought I needed to content warning creepy B-Dubs, and because I hadn't drawn the Red Life B-Dubs yet. And for the longest time, I was terrified to do this one, because for the longest time, B-Dubs was just a floating head and hands. He didn't even have hair, I don't think. It was just literally the outline. You can kind of see it here. It was literally just that, his jawline. And that was of him as a floating head. And I was not, it took me a long time to get this one drawing done. And it was a real fight to get it done. Because I had this kind of really cool image in my head. And this isn't quite what I imagined. And what I did imagine kind of like wasn't really up to my skill set, or I couldn't really pull it off. So I compromised with this one. But yeah, I think it's a very good illustration on like how the boogie curse works and what a boogeyman looks like when it comes to the eyes. So at least there's that. At least that made that clear for any future boogeyman. And you know, the murder of Grian. And here we've got very simple backgrounds, just like literally a line and then just colouring out the line. You can even see where the colouring area overlaps the line. But, you know, I mean, didn't have to do an intricate background for every piece. It's whatever serves the storyline, I guess, whatever you need to concentrate on. Yeah. Again, very clearly illustrating and setting the groundwork on that's what boogies look like. You really liked that frame. At least someone did. I'm glad you did. I'm glad you did. Yeah, maybe because I struggled over it for quite a few hours, so it's just the way it is. Also, I want to add, this is something that I only recently realised, having finished both animatics. This clock here, the clock that I drew for B-Dubs, this isn't like some sort of stylized way that I decided to draw a clock where you can see the nighttime and the daytime as well. Genuinely, in my brain, I think I just mixed up what compasses and clocks look like, because for some reason I thought that this is actually what a clock looks like in Minecraft. But obviously you can only see like the nighttime. If it's nighttime, you can only see the time of day like through a little window. But for some reason my brain was like, yep, that's what a clock looks like, and I drew that for the rest of the animatics. But yeah, I guess that's how I draw clocks now. B-Dubs looks so happy. I am the boogie. Yeah, B-Dubs is so happy. He enjoyed that murder. B-Dubs, I think, or this is how I interpreted it. there was no inner turmoil in him killing Green. There was inner turmoil. It makes it much more creepy. True, I get, yeah. Like I said, content warning, creepy B-dubs. You have been warned. It's adorable. Oh, isn't murder adorable? Yeah. But there was a lot of inner turmoil, especially in Big B's betrayal, in his boogie kill. There was a lot of turmoil in Lizzie's boogie kill. So yeah, that was at least that was something that had to happen, where B-dubs just wasn't actually that bothered killing Green. He didn't actually mind. He really didn't mind. He loved it when Ether replicated B-dub's boogie cry when he got Scar. I know. I tell you, it took a long time for me to actually realize that was that, because it was it just sounded like, I knew it was something that I'd heard before, but I wasn't sure where I'd heard it before. So yeah, it took me a while to realize that Etho actually did B-dubs's his call, his war cry, I guess. I tell you what, guys, this is annoying me because I'm looking at my phone. Just bear with me for a second because I need to move this down. Feel free to ask any questions you have. There we go. Because I was just looking over my phone, like the text overlapping the thing. It's just annoying me a little bit. OCD, I don't know. Anyway. So, we've got that one. And we've now established the boogie curse and like what it looks like. And yeah. Oh, also, I was very happy with his slash. I was so happy with how it came out. I have no idea how I did it. Couldn't replicate it for the rest of the animatic. But yeah. Then what's next? Oh yeah, the shots of the different bases. So obviously we have the snow castle. And this was kind of like if we were to put this in the timeline of Last Life, this is kind of where the first episode ends and the second one begins, and this is like the beginning of week 2. And it's kind of like the calm before the storm, with like the red background, and with the red background I kind of had this ongoing theme where it was like always the calm, even though it's very ominous and red and only the German word isn't going through my head right now, bedrohlich, and very threatening looking, like the red sky. It was always the calm before the storm, like at the beginning with the silhouettes, where the boogeyman hadn't been chosen yet, and it was just listing up the players. This is the calm before the storm in the thing, in the before the beginning of the second episode, where we've kind of like set up a couple of factions. We've got the bases, so yeah, the snow castle, and then Scar's magic mountain tower, and then the Scottage. This was actually the first background that I drew, and it was just me doodling of an afternoon, not really thinking about what I was doing. But I ended up being a part of the animatics, so, you know, why not? And then we also have Ren's tower. And I tell you what, this transition here, where it transitions like from Ren's tower, zooming in on Ren, that editing that took me at least an hour, maybe like 1.5, 2 hours. It took so long to get that transition, because I had to fiddle around with so many like different blur effect. I had to fiddle around with blur effects and movement and zooming out, zooming in, and gosh, it was a nightmare. But I was happy with how it turned out. I was actually going for something else at some other point, but it just wasn't working out how I wanted it to. But I'm happy with how it turned out in the end. It's actually one of my favorite transitions of both animatics. I really like it. So you kind of zoom in, and then you zoom out, and then you kind of blur into Ren, kind of showing that's him at the top of his tower. And I love this. I love the lyrics of this. What apps do I use to draw and edit? I use Procreate on the iPad to draw everything, and then I edit on my computer. So I send them as different PNG files to my computer, so the different layers. And then I edit on a editing program called Davinci Resolve, which is a free editing program, and for the fact that it's free, it is amazing. I think it's professional grade at Animatic. What am I saying? A professional grade editing program. Because yeah, I mean it's very good. I used Premiere Pro for the longest time because I had a subscription given to me for a year. But ever since July, that subscription was cancelled. So I had to look for other solutions, and I found Davinci Resolve, and it's literally just as good as Premiere Pro. It's, if anything, I think, okay, I didn't use Premiere Pro to its fullest, and I don't use Davinci Resolve to its fullest, but I feel like you could do more with Davinci Resolve. It's very good. And like I said, it's free, so it's definitely worth it if you want to do any editing. It's so good. My water bottle is almost empty, which is not good. We're only halfway through the first animatic. Pardon me. Anyway, I'm going to put away my notebook because I've already talked through all the things that I took notes of. And just chuck that away so it's not in front of me and doesn't bother me. So yeah, this is the beginning of the second verse, I guess, with Ren with the lyrics, "Now you're moving idle and you say you're alone." So Ren was very lonely at the beginning of the second episode. I felt really bad for him. He came from his big, like, Red Winter is coming, the king of dogwarts, down to trying to get salmon in a river. And kind of failing miserably to set up a farm, and then not actually having any alliances at the beginning. But he was actually pretty nicely, pretty safely allianced, if that makes any sense. He had lots of good alliances at the end of the series. But I did feel sorry for him at the beginning of the second episode, because he didn't really know what he was doing. Felt like not as like in this series he wasn't the scary king of dogwarts as he was in the previous one. But good to see, I guess, a different side, that he didn't become a crazy ruler, I guess. I have to say though, any kind of role playing that Martin and Ren do, I love it. I honestly wish that those two would do like some sort of, or be like on some sort of like longer lasting SMP together, where they could have more chance to interact and like do other stuff together, because those two are just a great duo, Ren and Martin. Anyway, let's continue. And then we have the two boogies of this episode, coincidentally, the Magic Mountain, the Magic Bros. What are they called? Have they got an official duo name? I don't know. Wizard Bros. Yeah, I mean, scary eyes, but by this point we had established that the white pupils, the purpley, pinky eyes are the boogeymen. So these two are boogeymen. And they end up setting Mumbo on fire, or at least Scar does. Joel attempts to. I think Joel went for Martin, actually. He was quite, like, targeted Martin quite heavily there. Mumbo is on fire. Wizard Hut Alliance. Oh, that's the one. That's the one. Wizard Hut Alliance. Like I said, at the beginning of the stream, I really loved this frame. This was one of the first ones that I drew. And when I finished it, I immediately had to send it to Crumble, especially, who is my friend that also watches Last Life with me. And I sent it to my brother, and I was so happy with how it turned out. I was like, yes, what if the whole animatic looked like this? It would be so cool. So yeah, I think this is definitely, going back to one of the first questions asked, this is definitely one of my favourite frames of this animatic, I have to say. I like it a lot. And then we're zooming in. This was also only one layer. I combined this all down to one layer for some reason. I think Scar was the one who set Mumbo on fire. Such a good frame. Thank you. This is your favourite frame? Awesome. I do like this frame. Yeah, Mumbo set him on fire. Sorry, Mumbo was on fire. Scar set Mumbo on fire. He put him in some lava. I tell you what, the amount of times I had to reference the animatic. obviously a favourite. I think I'm glad we can all agree. I was very happy with it, yeah, when I finished. And then, oh, I tell you what, I was trying to maybe think on how I could summarize the whole dilemma, or the whole like juggling of the enchantment table in one frame. I had no idea really how to do it. I think I drew this frame like 3 times, depending on what part of like the episode I was watching, or what perspective I was watching, because as I was drawing these frames, the episodes were kind of coming out as I was drawing them. So this frame I drew, imagine the enchantment table is in the same place, right? But the people around it changed. Literally, I drew Pearl and Scott in front of the enchantment table first. Like, oh, okay, so they've got the enchantment table, so I can draw them in front of the enchantment table. Because I knew here I wanted a frame where the characters were standing in front of the enchantment table. But I drew Pearl and Scott first. Didn't colour them out, thank goodness. It was just like the line art. Which does take a long time, though, at the same time. I drew Pearl and Scott. And then I was like, oh no, wait, they sell it on to the fairy fort. Okay, I'll draw the fairy fort in front of it. I drew Ren, Lizzie, Clio, and Big B next to it. Okay, right, I've drawn the fairy fort. And then I realised, oh no, wait. Then Best gets the enchanting table. Then I deleted the fairy fort, and then I drew Best. And because Best was so set on getting the enchantment table, they gave away a whole bunch of stuff. B-Dubs gave away a life to get it from Scar. I was like, okay, you know what? I'm just going to leave the enchantment table with Best and hope that it stays with them. Spoiler alert, it didn't stay with them. And I'm salty about it, but I just tried. I really wanted this enchantment table in it. And it was also a good excuse to draw Skiz, because I knew I wanted everyone in, I wanted every single character to be in at least in one scene. I think settling on Best was a smart move since it was such a through line of the crew. Good call. Thank you. It's I had a lot of. I was ready to throw my iPad. Let's be in your shirt, my pants. Exactly. I was ready to throw my iPad at the wall because I was watching Last Life and the enchantment table kept changing owner, and I was like, why? Please. In hindsight, maybe I should have done Scar with it because he had it the most, but like I said, it was a good one way to kind of draw the Best team, because I didn't really draw them otherwise. I didn't really have a moment to draw them otherwise. So yeah, and I drew Skiz, yay! I actually really like drawing Skiz as well, even though I like kind of like his torn off kind of suit arms, I guess. But yeah, it was frustrating, especially because drawing like multiple characters takes a long time. So there were literally 6 character line arts that I had to delete because I decided on something else. So yeah, I wasted a lot of time with it, but I'm happy with how it turned out, I guess. In the end, it all turned out nicely. I also think it was one of the only times that I drew Tango apart from the beginning, and I love drawing Tango so much, so I was like, yes, I'm settling on this, I want to draw Tango. So yeah. Now these slashes, these are very lazy, I have to say, because it's like slash slash smallish beans. The best choice. Good job, well done. Smallish beans was slain by pearlescent moon. Yeah, I think, and once I hear them clearly saying these slashes were a bit lazy, I didn't really think about editing them a little better, but they were fine. I think they were. I was happy with them while I was doing it, but then afterwards I was a bit unsure about them. My mum watched the Animatic and she came to me like, what does that mean? What are they? What are the flashes? I'm like, oh, the line. She was like, what are those lines? I'm like, oh, they're supposed to be like slashes, like there was a fight. And she's like, oh, okay. And she totally didn't understand, and that kind of made me realise, oh, that's really actually unclear what that means, but oh well. And then we have Joel, the Red Life. And I tell you what, I started watching Joel and Lizzie because of Last Life, because I thought I I'd heard of Joel before. I'd heard of them both before Third Life, but didn't really follow them on anything. Slashers set the tone nicely with the music. I wouldn't second guess. It was immediately really. Oh, well, thank you. Thank you. At least someone understood. Good thing that was readable. I also didn't really want to draw fight scenes because that would be too much work. She says, having spent hundreds of hours on a couple of animatics. Because what was I saying? I was telling a story. Yes. I didn't watch Joel or Lizzie. I'd heard of them, but like my first real exposure, especially to Joel, was Third Life, and I loved like his character. Awesome. Good thing that it was actually readable, the slashes. Yeah, I really enjoyed like him in Third Life, especially with the wolves and it's I love Joel going crazy. Is that a weird thing to say? Let me just explain with. Is this gonna work? Has this worked? Oh, this makes me nervous. And then we do this, and we do. Bear with me. I'm trying something. Aha! There we go. This is working perfect. So yeah, one of the first. I did a 3-parter series of Third Life fan arts where I did all the alliances one, and this was the first time I drew Joel, and I hadn't even watched Joel in his like Third Life series, but him and his crazy wolves, loved it, so cool. So hold on, if I just there we have the sand or the desert people, I don't know, of Third Life. We have the Crassel Alliance and the Red Empire of Dogwarts. So yeah, that is kind of what I did. What the first time I drew Joel, the first kind of like exposure I had to him. And I know I wasn't following him by then, I must say. I only started following him and Lizzie when Last Life came along. So I'm very thankful for Last Life for that, because they are top tier content creators. Let me go back to the chat. There we go. So, yes, we have very freaky, scary Joel. It just gave me vibes of the way Joel's character was when he was in Third Life. With his, he had this like really manic laughter, and it was so terrifying to watch as from the perspective of someone being hunted. It was great, and for that reason, I followed Joel, but I only watched like his perspective after I'd watched everyone else's, and I did that with most of the Reds, because that's I did that with most of the Reds because that was just like it made it much more intense for me, because the Reds were so much more scarier out of the perspective of a green life or a yellow life, because they were very dangerous. And I was terrified of Joel in the third. Well, whenever he turned red and people came across him, I was very scared. I was scared for the character that I was watching, out of whose perspective I was watching. And then you go over to Joel's episode and he's just bumbling about trying to make traps and getting frustrated that they're not working. So, you know, the whole suspense of watching it out of the perspective of someone who isn't red makes it a lot better. Right. I think we can continue on. This, I don't know if this is a reflection or looking through a sword. I just thought it would look cool if we had like his eye and sword kind of like filling out the rest of his head. It's probably a reflection because there's probably not like a glass sword or something, but yeah, I enjoyed doing this. There was a lot of blur tool happening when I did this one. This one was a lot of fun, this drawing, to draw. I should have put in the content warning creepy Joel as well. Creepy smallish beans. Creepy tiny hinds. And then we're zooming in scarily. Oh, also this one. I like this one a lot. This is an example of a boogie kill that was kind of like conflicted. Obviously Lizzie's very conflicted at having to kill Pearl here. So yeah. These were very quickly. exactly when you watched other videos, Joel and Green came across evil masterminds, and in the videos you realise they're just succeeding on dumb luck. Yep, exactly. I think that's going to be my tactic for any kind of future Last Life series thing, whatever they do. If the red names are hostile, which I think that's something that they're going to continue, that they're going to keep. So yeah, it's definitely something I'm going to continue because it's so much more scary. Like I said, watching from someone else's perspective being hunted by Joel in Third Life with all his wolves and his manic laughter, terrifying. My brother is playing on Steam and that is visible on stream, so I don't know. I should probably deactivate that. Crowlander is my brother, by the way. He also streams Crowlander T. Go check him out. just soft plug at my little bro there. So yeah, my brain, I don't know what's wrong. My brain. So yeah, bit of sad, very quick Pearl climbing down the ladder. This was either like daylight or torchlight getting darker. I don't know. I wanted dramatic lighting in. Jenny surprised Joel lasted as long as it did. Yes, genuinely. I feel like Joel kind of learnt how to be a Red Life, because you've got people like Skizzleman and Mumbo. They were very reckless as Red Livers, and Joel kind of learned. He was quite reckless, but he did it well, where he just didn't get killed, I guess. Went from 5 to 1 so quickly. Yeah, exactly. Joel felt a lot like Scar in Third Life. It's just so everyone was actually quite scared of him, but they shouldn't have been. And he was just a series of unfortunate events that led to his demise. But I love how Scar just beat him in amount of deaths in a single episode in, what was it, week 5? Something like that. Mumbo was very funny as Red, yes. So yeah, we've got very regretful Lizzie here. And then Scott hugging Pearl, because I wanted to draw Scott as kind of my excuse to do this frame. And I thought it kind of showed Scott's and Pearl's alliance quite nicely, where he mourns her in death and I don't know what. Because he went to, I think, go and pick up her items. That's kind of my way of Scott going to pick up her items. He's mourning over her dead body. I don't know. That's Minecraft's weird. And I'm drawing fan characters of block people, so there's some sort of creative liberty there. Love this. It was my favorite frame of the video. Awesome. I'm glad you did. This drawing was one of your favorites. I think this is another one of those drawings. I love how everyone on stream can just see what Crowlander's playing. I don't know how to. I'm not going to turn that off right now. I think this was also one of those ones that I finished quite early. And I wanted it to be very simple, like especially the background. I mean, there's barely any detail in the background. I wanted it to be very simple and poignant with all these 3 drawings. Actually, this background's very simple. Especially because it's just also so quickly. Over so quickly. That is, I think, something that I lost in Everybody Wants to Rule the World. I concentrated on the backgrounds too much because my goal with Everybody Wants to Rule the World is I wanted to get better at merging backgrounds with characters, so you know where the character is and they don't look like they're a cardboard cutout placed in front of some sort of background. That was kind of like my art journey that I guess that I wanted to go on in Everybody Wants to Rule the World. But it kind of lost its simplicity, where you just had some frames with some very simple lighting that tell the story a lot clearer. So that's kind of like my self-reflection on Everybody Wants to Rule the World. It's a good balance in either way. It's finding a good balance either way, that you kind of need to understand where the characters are. I mean, here they're in a cave, so, you know, not much to draw there, but you need to understand where the characters are positioned, where they are in the world, and you also need to I don't know what my brother's doing. This is really distracting me. Go away, Steam. And yeah, just kind of having the simplicity, but also understanding where they are. So, you know, so there's always stuff to learn with any kind of animatic. And this, I did my dude Impulse real dirty with literally just drawing him once. This is his hand, by the way. So he's holding, or it's supposed to be his hand. He's the one holding the leaflet because he found it out. Simple background here also works well since the whole scene took place in a 201 hole. Exactly. Exactly. I did Impulse real dirty because he was one of the first perspectives that I watched. I don't really know why. I think it's because his episodes came out a little earlier than the rest. But I really enjoyed watching from his perspective. And it kind of, I really missed it when his series ended, like watching Impulse first. That was something that I hadn't realised that I would miss as much. But I really missed watching Impulse's perspective first. I don't know why, but I really enjoyed his series and watching from his eyes, so to say. But yeah, I only drew him once in this animatic. I felt real bad. Remember, was the first perspective you watched? Yeah, I mean, I watched most perspectives, I think. And I kind of skipped through parts every now and again. I watched most perspectives out of, quote, research reasons, because I wanted to get the animatic right. So I watched, like, to get a good overall view of everything that was happening. So while I was drawing, I was also watching all the episodes. So yeah, I think I watched at least, like, what, 13 of the 17? So, yes. Tuesday evenings was always very, very packed, full of content watching for me. But yeah, I only drew Impulse once, and it was on a piece of paper, a dirty piece of paper, of a tiny sketch that didn't take long at all, because it was supposed to be a drawing of a drawing. Yeah, anyway. This one, I really enjoyed doing this one. I'll do full screen again. Yellow Snow's Demise. This was another one of those ones where I've just wanted to do a nice background and I just doodled for a couple hours, and this was the result. I did not want to draw a dangling horse, I tell you what. I actually had a sketch of a dangling horse, but I thought that would be too morbid because it's dangling above lava. And I thought, okay, how do I make it? Really love your animatics. They are really good. Probably watch both animatics at least once a day because you're obsessed with them. Oh. Thank you so much, Noodle. Thank you so much, Noodles. That's so sweet of you to say. Thank you. Thank you. I don't know what to say to your lovely comments. Thanks. Thank you so much. Very kind of you. But here we have basically where Yellow Snow was in this harness and it was cut open and he was already in the lava, or she, I don't know. I don't want to assume Yellow Snow's gender. I had a sketch of a dangling horse. I thought that was too morbid, so I just drew it like this. And then I showed it to my brother, saying, this is a frame from the animatic. And I barely showed any frames to anyone before finishing it, because I wanted it to be like a surprise for my loved ones as well, if that makes sense. But I showed this one to Crowlander, my brother. And I said, this is a moment from Last Life. And he, I think, mainly watched Grian's perspective. A lot of people that I know just watched Grian's perspective. Which is... I mean, Scar was such badass in that moment. Yes, that is true. He just walked away. Defo. But I showed this to my brother and he was like... And I asked him, do you recognise this scene? Do you know what this is? And he had no idea. So I felt really bad about myself and I just kind of like sat there for a bit. But I decided in the end I was not going to draw Yellow Snow in a harness. And if people don't understand it, they won't understand it. But I did get people saying that they did know what this moment was. So I'm glad people understood what it was. Might just be my brother being a bit dense, bless him. Nah, I'll stop insulting him. But I was happy that people did actually understand this. Could read the scene. And I did not want to draw a dangling horse. That was just not going to happen. Although I was really happy with the lighting of like the lava coming up, the lighting from below, and kind of the lighting of the early morning or the sunset or whatever it is. So yeah, you knew what it was. 10 awesome points to you, Lauren. That's cool. I'm so. Oh wait, we've got this one. We've got that moment now, don't we? Yeah, I'm happy that people did actually recognize what it was when the animatic came out. So yeah, awesome if you did recognize it. That moment. Love that moment. I can't remember what the thing was. What were the lyrics to it? I'm just gonna do a very short. Oh yeah, I've got nothing left to lose. Yep. has lost, like how he captures the aftermath of the situation. Yeah. Again, I was not going to draw a dangling horse. Too morbid. Too morbid. Yeah, I've got nothing left. I've got nothing left to lose. Scar has lost Yellow Snow, but he's got nothing left to lose. Apart from all of his lives that he loses in the next episode. But you know. Yeah, this is the moment. The moment I loved. Honestly, I don't know how to edit. I just spend a lot of time editing. I'm literally learning the program as I'm going. And this was just something that I was really happy with how it turned out. It took a long time to get this like transition. And then the movement, and it took a while for me to get it, but I was very happy with how it turned out in the end. And I read, by the way, I read all the comments on both videos, and they're such nice comments, and from what I could see, a lot of people appreciated this moment. So yes, I was very happy with how it turned out. Also, when I first finished the animatic, before I put it on YouTube, I showed it to my brother, and I was like watching behind him while he had the headphones on at my computer and all that, and he just gasped at this moment, and he loved this moment as well, and I was just like, yes, another one of your favorite frames. I think this was quite a favorite among a lot of people. So yeah, he loved this frame a lot, so I was very happy with how it turned out. And then obviously Mumba reaching out. I needed a pose reference for this. This was very tricky to do, this pose. And I feel like Mumba's mustache gets bigger as the animatic continues, because we've got him like, hold on, where? Let me just think. Here, it's nowhere near as big, and here is kind of like almost Dr. Eggman ways of big, massive mustache. I didn't really think, but this frame made me cry. Yes, that's my goal has been achieved. That's the aim of the game. Nah, I mean, to evoke emotions in people. I'm not just out here to make people cry, but it's kind of part of what my aim is, a little bit. Just to have people feel feelings. So yeah. Yeah, then there's kind of like, that looks really good. Thank you. What I wanted to do with this one is, because Green's falling down, and then like the next frame they're almost pretty much the same distance from each other, so it's kind of been flipped 90 degrees. I tried to, like, it was in my notes that I was gonna kind of turn them around so that the transition would be them turning to the positions that they are in the next frame, if that makes sense. But I couldn't get it to work. I couldn't get it to look good, so I just kind of like did a little bit of a zoom in and a blur. Or not even a blur, just a bit of a zoom in. And then we have the two of them stood there. And again, this is really simple. I'm just realizing like the proportions are all wrong. Simplified drawings, but I'm happy with how the silhouettes turned out. This moment as well was one of those moments where like, oh gosh. Oh no, this is, oh gosh, especially because Mumba was kind of a bit tempted to join Grian as Red Lives. Grian and Mumbo team as Red Lives would have been so cool. Why didn't it happen? I would have loved it. Same with how I would have loved a B-Dubs Etho Red team. That would have been so cool. Etho and Mumbo were both tempted to join their bud. But they didn't. And they got a life back, so I guess it's a win-win in the end. Oh, and then there's just going from big moment to big moment, the big betrayal of Big B. So many bigs. Yeah. Him murdering Clio. This background was so hard to do. I did not have fun with this background. It took a long time. But it was one of those moments where I think, yes, we need context for where they're standing, so we kind of need a bit of a more complicated background. Also, many people noticed Clio's hair gets chopped, and then it stays short for the remainder of all animatics, kind of to show how she severed ties with the fairy fort. So yeah, the boogie curse. We kind of also have the purple slash turning into the red as it hits Clio. He's upset how Mumbo died so early because Mumbo and Green didn't get the chance to both be red together. Exactly. It's also tragic that Green killed him. Why? It was a bit. Mumbo was way too reckless, honestly. And then also Big B cleaning the axe in the water. And Clio's flowers kind of floating. I have Clio, like the way I drew Clio's flowers in her hair, like at the beginning here, it's just her skin. I was just staying true to her skin because they're kind of blue flowers with yellow centers. But then in future, I kind of like thought, okay, I'm gonna put in flowers now that maybe have meanings and stuff like that. I don't know if I still have the notes on what the flowers that I put in are called and what they mean, but we'll see if I can maybe find it. Yeah, her flowers floating in the water here. Kind of showing how Big B regrets what he did. Through obviously his facial expression, and also him having like time to ponder while he washes off his axe in the river. Why did Mumbo turn around instead of continuing to run away from Green? He could have survived. I know, it was a bit of... Oh, I was annoyed with Mumbo. I was annoyed. I'm just trying to think whose perspective I watched first. I can't remember. On that one. It wasn't anyone there, so I literally just saw it as a chat message. And I was distraught when I saw that Mumbo and Jimmy had died. Like, no! How? So, yeah, I think I watched someone else's perspective first. Actually, I watched Impulse's perspective. I watched Impulse. Yeah, Impulse had just died. And he was kind of recuperating. And then suddenly Jimmy and Mumbo. And I was like, oh gosh, they better not be coming for Impulse to get rid of all the red southerners, right? That was my thought process, I think. And then we have Clio running away from the fairy fort with Lizzie and Ren in the background. And this kind of like mirrors the scene that we had at the start with the two of them kind of like across from each other. But this time Clio's just walking away. Off to go to Scott and Pearl. And I love the like I knew I couldn't trust you kind of thing. Tell you what, that's a really wonky sun, isn't it? Gosh, you'd think I could draw half a circle. I'm only just realising this now. So yeah, a simplified thing, and then she zooms into the background there. Kind of like a bit of a stylized sky as well. I liked making the sky all sorts of different colours in this animatic as well. And that is something that I did less in the Everybody Wants to Rule the World animatic. But here, like, the sky was green, the sky was yellow, the sky was red. I mean, I do also have red skies in the Everyone Wants to Rule the World one, but I did a lot more, like, playing around with colourful skies in this one, I feel like. But, yeah, I didn't actually think about Clio's flowers on this one. They're just a bit of a mess, honestly. But I did think about them for future ones. Trust me. Also, I just realised a huge mistake that I made. Scott doesn't have pointy ears. I've only just realised that. How could I do my man like that? Oh gosh. I don't really think about what species characters are. I mean, obviously Zombie Clio is a zombie. Ren Dog is a werewolf. But otherwise I haven't really thought about what species different characters are. Just some of them have pointy ears, but I don't necessarily think like, yes, you have pointy ears, so I want Martin to be an elf. I think, let me just think, pointy ears are, the guys who have pointy ears are Tango, Martin, and Scott, I think. I don't think anyone else has, but I haven't thought like, oh yes, they're elves. Scott mainly because Scott is an elf in Empires, and I like pointy, I just generally like the whole aesthetic, him being an elf. Tango because he's obviously some sort of otherworldly being with his red eyes. And Martin because I think Martin's goes a lot further back with like fan art that I used to do of him being like a wood elf or like some sort of forest spirit because of his whole sapling background. I don't know. Tangent over. I didn't draw pointy ears on Scott there. That's going to annoy me for the rest of my life. JK. I also love doing the particles on Scott's hair. That was one of the best. Wait, what words? That was one of the things that I really enjoyed doing. Is all the particles around Scott's head. And then this was the Southerners saying goodbye to Martin. To Martin? Not to Martin. Saying goodbye to Green because Green was on Red Life. I don't think there's much to say about this. I wanted to add Joel in because Joel was also there, but he kind of just looked like he'd been squeezed into the frame in the sketch that I did, so it didn't really fit. So I kind of just deleted him. And this is supposed to be Magic Mountain in the background. I don't know, simplified background to kind of make them understand what's happening, but you know. So yeah, that was Green's last aha moment. And the only time in this animatic that I drew Martin and Jimmy's faces. I feel like I draw Jimmy's face differently every time that I draw him. That's, if I'm being honest though, so yeah. That is a thing. And then B-dubs falling in the nether. This one was a lot of fun to do with like the blurring of the background. I'd spent a lot of time in the background here, trying to get it like dramatic enough or bright enough so that it feels like it's like lava in the nether, and on fire and bright, but still dull enough so that you don't lose B-dubs in the fire, so that he's bright, so that he's brighter than the background, if that makes sense. There's a lot of playing around with this one, but yeah. He falls to his doom. And then our four red lives at the end of session 4, with how they died, slashed apart by a sword, hit by an arrow, fell to his death, so like his body cracked, I guess, and explosion. Ooh, explosion. So yeah, and this is kind of like, again, going from the character art at the very beginning, but this time I added like smiles and eyes. But basically, these were very easy to do because I just copy-pasted the character art from the first intro, the intro part. Just inserted it here, made the hearts red, made the explosions. You can kind of see where I rubbed out some bits. Oh, also made Clio's hair shorter because that needs to be part of canon, I guess. And then there they are with creepy B-dubs and a missing tooth. He was a lot creepier in this one than I feel like I did in the other one. And Clio's heart almost looks like the walls above crashed on top of her. Oh. Oh, hello. Yeah. I do love drawing explosions. Drawing explosions is a lot of fun, I must say. But yeah, so tell you what, by the end of the 4th session, I was terrified at what these 4 would do. I didn't necessarily think they'd team up, but I kind of thought it would be awesome if all 4 teamed up. I knew that Joel and Green had kind of like stuck together as soon as Green went red. but I thought Clio would join them, and then suddenly B-Dubs' death as well. Which I only realised later because it took me a long time to watch B-Dubs' perspective. So it took me a really... I think I went to the Reddit quickly just to catch up or something. I found out somewhere that B-Dubs was also dead. Thank you. I found out somewhere that B-Dubs was also dead, and I was like, wait, what? When did that happen? So, yeah. Also, we're talking about Clio's hair. Yeah, it's short, firstly, obviously, yeah. But she's got black roses in her hair, which I think symbolises death. I'm not sure. But yeah, black roses this time. Even though they look a bit red, just from the red tint. Glowing red eyes, because we do love some glowing eyes. Grian's holding a box of traps because he's ready to become the unhinged red that he was. And Joel is no longer the most terrifying. So yeah, this would have been an awesome dynamic because his death happened so late. It wasn't included in lots of videos. Exactly. I was really, yeah, really surprised when I found out. So yeah, and then zoom in, and that was the first animatic. I drew this final picture like incredibly sleep deprived and tired because I thought, oh gosh, I forgot I need an end screen and I need a little character waving about like all animatic channels do, feels like. And so it's literally just me holding a pen. That's supposed to be a hand, by the way. It's like inspired by the Me characters on the Wii. But it just looks like the pencil is impaling the ball that is my hand. And my character does look very sleepy, as I did feel very sleepy then while I drew this. So yeah, not ideal, but I always forget to draw these parts of the video. I do the intro and all that, but I always forget the end screen, so they always get done last minute. So yeah, that was Who Are You Really? And we are almost 2 hours in. I just knocked the microphone again. We're almost 2 hours in. I've been talking about one animatic for 2 hours. Are we feeling it up for watching the next one? I think we can watch the next one. So that was Who Are You Really? And what I find awesome is, well, awesome, funny, I don't know. Do I have a life? I don't know. I literally drew Who Are You Really in a month. And then I drew Everyone Wants to Rule the World in the month, because Who Are You Really? Last Life started, I think, on the 21st of September, if I'm not mistaken. And Who Are You Really came out on the 25th of October, and this came out on the 29th of November. So one fully drawn animatic a month. Yeah, easily done. Obviously, very, very, very simple. Nervous laughter /S. So, yeah, we have Everyone Wants to Rule the World. Now, with this one, if anyone wants to see, like, the process, I guess, of individual frames or, like, the different layers, let me know. Because with this one, I can actually open the Procreate, file. Because after Who Are You Really, I had to... Very happy for my dedication. Thank you. After Who Are You Really was finished, I had 0 space left on my iPad, so I literally had to delete all the Procreate things, all the Procreate files, and I just saved them all as PNGs, which is what we were swiping through earlier. So literally all I have from this animatic is obviously the video itself, but also just a bunch of PNG files. Not even the process videos and stuff. So yeah, a bit sad, but I had to do something. I need to get myself an external hard drive for my iPad, really. But I had to clean up because I was going to start the next animatic. And with this animatic, actually, hold on, let's see if I can do this again. With this animatic, we've gone blank. And then we go here. And bear with me. I'm looking for the correct thing. There we go. So with this animatic, I actually had... That's still operational? Yeah, that's still operational. I actually had my sketchbook with me. So we actually have my very messy... I'm sorry about the blue areas, because I'd done a drawing on the other side of the page and it had bled through real badly. So yeah, basically, when it came round to Everybody Wants to Rule the World, and the fun fact about Everyone Wants to Rule the World, I had wanted to do a third life animatic to this one, to this song, and basically, I didn't have the time because I had finals, just as Third Life was coming out, so I didn't have the time to do an animatic. So what I decided to do, because they'd promised a season 2, what I decided to do then and there was that I was going to do a animatic. It's fascinating. We're wondering how I did such a good job matching the frames to the lyrics. Well, basically, I have in my head every time, especially as Last Life was kind of going on, as Last Life was kind of happening, I guess, and I was drawing the animatic while it was happening, I just had these moments that I wrote down. They're like, it would be awesome if I put this in the animatic. So I had to... Sorry, I got distracted. I immediately lost my train of thought there. Yeah, I had to write down what I wanted. Going to go now, really enjoy the stream, and the animatic's great. All right then, thank you for stopping by, Lauren. Goodbye. So basically, yeah, I was watching the episodes, always in the back of my mind, what I wanted to maybe include in the animatic, or what moments would be awesome, or what they could look like, you know? So basically, what we have here is me writing down the lyrics and then kind of highlighting it in different colours, signifying that different frames happen in those moments. And I've got all the lyrics here, because it's not a very long song. And I started kind of showing where week 5 and week 6, like what parts would be encompassed then. And I've got the like numbered here, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then I kind of had a description of what would happen in those frames. So I changed it every now and again, but I think here it's kind of pretty up to standard what was happening. So yeah, that's how I did that animatic, how it was planned out. It's very messy, especially towards the end. Like I was rubbing out some stuff, and yeah, it was very messy. Yes, this animatic took over 125 hours, in case you've come in since then. I did the maths. You can do that on Procreate. Yeah, it took a long time, this animatic. And down here we have another little tidbit of information. The amount of times every character... I keep knocking my microphone, I'm just going to move it a bit. The amount of times that every character showed up in the animatic. So again, I did Skizzleman real dirty, where I only drew him once. If he has interesting character stories or whatever's in the next season, then I will definitely draw him more. But yeah, so the ballpoint pen here, the amount of times that I drew each character. I think that's all I have to say with these 3 pictures. With like the planning and the sketch and stuff. Every now and again I do thumbnails. I draw like single thumbnails out, but I didn't for this one, and I didn't for the previous one either. So let's just go back to that one. There we go. So, let us begin on Everybody Wants to Rule the World. Fun fact, actually, I have never watched neither Teen Wolf, which is where Who Are You Really comes from, nor have I watched Catching Fire, or any of the Hunger Games movies, actually. I know, shame on me, I'm here watching Minecraft YouTube, but I haven't watched I haven't watched the Hunger Games. But yeah, I haven't actually watched any of the media where these songs come from. I just kind of knew their existence, I guess. Who Are You Really? I knew that it existed before, but I didn't know that it had that it came from Teen Wolf, and I had listened to a Dream SMP animatic of Who Are You Really, so that's kind of where that whole thing comes from. Where that was kind of like fresh in my mind when Last Life came out. So shall we begin, I guess? Make sure, yeah, that's also... This is definitely a copyrighted song, it even says it like in the description. So, copyrighted. I shall not be playing the copyrighted song on stream in fear of DMCA. Right. Let us begin, I guess. I couldn't do as much of a poignant... Although I traced over the Last Life logo and added like my own design to the heart to it. I couldn't do as poignant introduction as the previous one. It wasn't like a bam and you're in the middle of it. Because it immediately started. Yes, in case you feel so inclined. Warning, blood, death, and flashing images. No creepy V-dubs this time, because I felt like one had been warned enough in the previous animatic and he wasn't that creepy in this one. So, yeah. There we have, let's just put it to full screen. The first frame. My light bulbs are flickering, that's interesting. The first frame. Here it says contract on the book because they signed a contract. Clio's still got roses in her, black roses in her hair. I drew her left hand as to be a skeleton hand in the previous animatic. I was too lazy to do it here, but we still got like the bones going here because, you know, Clio's a zombie. But yeah, the red lives surrounding Scar, and kind of like their reactions to Scar kind of show how kind of like at ease he was with them, in comparison to when he was with Joel and Grian, which is literally I copy and pasted Scar and just flipped him, if I'm being honest. Where they're a bit more hostile to him. Because that's how it happened. Right. So, we begin. And this was part of the teaser as well, just the beginning of the animatic was in the teaser. And we've got the theme of the red sky again. All ominous and scary. Oh, and I am the boogie. the boogie kill. Again, very obvious purple eyes. Complementary color of the background of the... I tried to work a lot with like understanding color theory in this one because I didn't think about it in the last one and I'm no professional. I just know it from like school, I guess. So yeah, I guess if you compare it to like schools in the UK, I took an art A level, but that's about as far as I've got with my art studies and I don't really plan on studying at uni. Studying art at uni, so I kind of have a slight idea of colour theory, and I try to implement it more in this animatic. So yeah, especially with the contrast between yellow and purple is what I liked to add in this one. And then zoom in on Grian and his crossbow, man. It was with him everywhere. I actually referenced a pose in Sadist's animatic. I can't remember which one it was, but it was gosh, was it the Fall? When Sadist drew Tommy pointing his crossbow at Wilbur, like, Wilbur, give me the TNT. That was kind of like, I referenced that pose when I was drawing this because I had exactly that pose in mind. So obviously kudos to Sadist, amazing animatics, big fan. Yeah. I tried to do a lot of like referencing to other stuff in this, just very, very subtly. More for myself, probably less so that people would actually recognize it, but you know. Grian point. Also, before I say anything else, Grian got a bit of a character upgrade because I felt like his hair needed a bit more fluff because, you know, he's got a waffle on his head and his hair was quite flat previously, so he's got a bit more floofy hair in this animatic. And also, like, he's got a hole in his jumper from where Joel shot him. I kind of wanted to incorporate how the characters died, I guess, or like the scars that they received from dying in Last Life, like some of their deaths in Last Life. I kind of wanted to add that into this animatic. Especially if their skin, if they didn't have a dedicated red skin, like Green did, like Mumbo did. If their red skin didn't look distinctly different, like Joel here, to their non-red skin, I guess, then I tried to kind of add scars from their deaths into the animatic. I've just realised I haven't been on chat. Sorry, I'm going to read through chat again because I've been so ignoring. I hadn't actually clicked after I switched around to Everybody Wants to Rule the World. I hadn't actually clicked on chat again. You were introduced to Who Are You Really? Because my animatic. Awesome. So happy. Great song. Love the song. You watched Teen Wolf and didn't know either. I literally, the only reason that I know it's from Teen Wolf is because that the Spotify icon of Who Are You Really is literally Teen Wolf. And also, Paul Scar, the contract ended up meaning as much as a third life friendship tokens. True! Oh my gosh, I haven't thought of that comparison, but yeah. I felt Scar was like really abandoned at the end. Like his final week was really sad because he gave all his resources to the Red Lives. Then they just ran off in different ways. Didn't like ask like, Scar, do you want to come too? Or like, we're going to do this, Scar, do you want to be a part of this? Or can we take your items? I think they just kind of really took it. So I felt real bad for Scar. Sorry for ignoring chat for a bit there. I actually literally just forgot to go back to chat. So yeah. Green got fluffy hair and Joel skin, yeah. Also the heart from the previous animatic is still on his sword. I don't know if someone saw that. Little details. Yeah. So, obviously, welcome to your life, Mr. Magic Man. I like the idea of when people use magic, their pupils go white. So, like, I like the idea of Scar being an actual wizard and being able to, in that sense, kind of play around with lives. This is at least my headcanon. And so when he's transferring lives, his eyes go white because it kind of like, it's magic. Just like the Curse of the Boogeyman is also kind of magic, like Watcher's magic, if you will. So yeah, this is where giving lives becomes a little more consistent. I didn't want to draw 4 hearts here because they would have looked really squished in. So I just kind of did like little souls, little flames, I guess. But the transition, the lines that they draw, I always use the same technique and tactic to do them throughout the entire animatic. And by the way, this background was where I wanted to reference the previous animatic with Tango's background, where I tried to replicate Tango's background. But I ended up using lots of different colours here, and I'm really quite happy with how it turned out. It might look like a very simple background, but it took me forever to get to where it is now. And I'm really happy with the colours they ended up being. So yeah, I do like drawing Scar. But it was kind of like a callback to Tango having 4 lives that he was giving out, and then Scar having 4 lives that he was giving out. It's kind of like referencing the previous animatic like that. Also with it being a frame very early on in the animatic. But yeah, welcome to your life. And also like the way the lives kind of zoom, like become bigger and then smaller, just to help the transition. And then him burning in lava. Honestly, something that I never thought I'd have to Google is a reference to a person burning in lava. I had no idea what that would look like. So yeah, I just kind of did a bit of a lava pit and then completely blurred it. I spent really long in this lava pit for it to be so blurred in the background. And then more fire. So yeah, Scar's burning in lava, and then he's on his red life, which is that flash of him actually turning evil. Because, Oh my gosh, Scar was terrifying in the short amount of time that he was a red name, when he was the only red on the server. When like Tango was forced to give him a life, he was really scary. I did not want to be best in that moment when he went and threatened them. Then here we have Martin. This background took a long time as well. Put it on Instagram and Reddit as I was working on the animatic. But it was more of a case of, I actually want to do a proper background here, so I will do a proper background. And this is kind of like Martin sending Timmy away from sort of scene that I saw a lot of fan art of. I really like my interpretation. If I can scar some confusion in the moment, yeah. That was... I found it really tricky to try and do, like, draw someone burning in love. So here we have, again, the same particle effects of, like, life-giving. Martin is holding his life dear that that Jimmy gave him back, but then at the same time exiling Jimmy from the Southern Lands. But he's holding the life nice and tight. Like, how dare you steal the life again? As if he was scared of Jimmy kind of grabbing it. And also like the way that the transition is still kind of underway, with the way the particles are kind of moving. Like that. And then they're moving away from Jimmy as well. Just down there. And again, I draw Jimmy, looks a lot different. I feel like every time I draw Jimmy, he looks different. I've drawn him quite a few times actually, and every time I can't decide on a hairstyle. Yeah. Well, one day I will. One day he'll look like one of the previous drawings that I've made of him. So yeah, he's been exiled to the exiled shack with one of these, I don't even know what they're called, but yeah, let's just go back a couple of frames, just a little bit, so we can see a bit better. Yeah, the exiled shack. And also, maybe a little detail, I wanted to add the border in like frames that were close enough to the border so they would render in theoretically. So I wanted to add like these white streaks to the background to kind of show that that's where the end of their world is, the border of their world. They can't get any further. We've got it in a scene later. Bigby, like having nightmares of his betrayal of Clio. I almost said Chloe there. Of his betrayal of Chloe. No, wait, of Clio. Gosh, words. Feeling like he's in danger constantly because she's red now, and regretting what he's done. And she's kind of like haunting his dreams, which is what this kind of shaking, scary eyes is. And then we cut to her burning down the fairy fort. It took me a long time to be satisfied with this transition in the editing, and I'm not hugely happy with it, but I'm satisfied. I'm okay with how it turned out, kind of thing. And then we flash to her glowing eyes again. Love me some glowing red eyes. This one, I honestly love this frame a lot because I had so much fun doing the background, like the stylized red sky again. And again, how like Etho and B-Dub's relationship, like a fighting married couple. I loved it. I honestly, I think I'm gonna have to go through Etho and B-Dub's Last Life series again because it was so fun to watch. I love their interactions. Yeah, and with like the line tearing through their base. I actually wrote here very with terrible writing so that you can't read it, but I actually did try to write do not touch, do not burn, do not sell, do not scar. So yeah, on Etho's tree. But I really enjoyed doing this background. Love the depiction of a line being drawn, yeah. And like Etho's on his green life, B-Dubs is on his red. We also love a good height difference. This is kind of already the first way to show also. Maybe, did I draw it here? Yeah, B-Dubs' bandana has like small little, it's like a lot smaller than Etho's or Martin's because I wanted to keep it different from those two. It feels like he wouldn't be as like flowy and flashy as maybe Martin or I don't know. I don't know what I'm saying, but it felt like his bandana should be shorter, you know, for a little guy. So that's what, like, one of the changes that I did to his design, where I don't think his like the little tufts of his bandana were even visible previously. But I do have to say, if you were asking me what my favorite frame was of this animatic, I'd have to say either this frame here or this frame. Oh, not that one. This one. So it's like between those two. I love both. Really, really enjoyed doing both as well. Because they were such powerful images to me that there was like no other way that I could draw it. I really, really wanted to draw it like that. I also really liked the detail of how it was kind of like moving the foreground in one way and the background in another gives it a lot of depth. Even though it's just 3 pictures, Etho and B-dubs on one, or actually 4 with the line, but Etho and B-dubs, the foreground and the background, and then just kind of like moving them in different directions, gives it such a 3D feel to it. So, yeah. Then we have the Shadow Alliance with Terry. Not Bigby, Terry. I love that. That was such a funny storyline. Also, Lizzie's got little head kind of buns, because I did have another look at her skin and I realised that her skin does actually have that kind of thing. So I thought, oh gosh, I have done her wrong. I need to add it. Also, I didn't add Ren's watch in the previous animatic, so oops. But yeah, Martin walking into the Shadow Fort, and then the Shadow Alliance is first meeting. Under the moon! Don't get into the light, stay in the dark. Goodness knows what I'm trying to say. So, in fact, turn your back on Mother Nature. I thought you added that. Yeah. I literally screenshotted it, especially adding Big B's skin for that. That was like one of those times where I just thought, okay, I need that skin because I need to color drop that hat color, and I went overboard a little bit, but yeah, he had to go into witness protection because there was an evil maniac who was after him. I mean, look at her. Do I say any more? I shall say no more. So yeah. So this was also, some people noticed in the comments, acting on your best behavior was the lyric here. Acting on your best. We're in best base, 2 members of best. Acting on your best behavior. He was obviously not acting on his best behavior. He was being a very naughty B-dubs. But yeah, there was a lot of conflict between those. So they were not acting on their best behavior. And that's why I thought I have to have this conflict in this moment. And the line came through exactly as it said best. So let me just very, very briefly have sound. Acting on your best. Yeah. I do love me some poignant beats. Changing the frames for during a beat. It's definitely something that I do like doing. Is my Spotify playlist still on? Yes, it is. It's just not there. Oh, I just realised I'm still sharing the screen. I'm an idiot. Oh well. Welcome to my Spotify stream playlist. Anyway, so yeah, the Shadow Alliance meetup. And also very simple, literally just moving the background one direction, kind of like the table in the same direction, and moving Martin across a lot quicker gives a lot of depth to something, to the scene. Also something that I realised, which is a mistake in the editing, Martin goes away way too quickly. Martin goes, he leaves the frame before the rest of it fades out, so we've just basically got an inside to what the background looked like behind Martin. Bigby doesn't have an arm, the table's not finished colouring out, so yeah, mistake in the editing. Scott has pointy ears, I am correct in this one. Impulse is buff, that is also a must. Anyway, yeah, I love drawing Scott's flashing whatever the particle effects are behind him. Also, they were right by the border as this happened. I know they were stood on a whole bunch of trees, but I thought I'd just I thought I'd just make the hills, because it would be weird if they were standing on trees. And yeah, they're at the border, so I did the streaky lines. And this was the everybody wants to rule the world line, so like they're collecting skulls. That was Impulse giving Scott Green's skull to give away, which I found a very interesting storyline, where Impulse just very quickly agreed with Green to find all those skulls, to hunt down the skulls, and actually with the intention of spawning the Wither, even though the very previous episode he was there to avoid exactly that. Or yeah, he was trying to avoid exactly the spawnage of a Wither. But I loved Green and Impulse being read together. That was great. I wish we'd have had more of that. That was very, very good. I think they're called Wither Duo, aren't they? Like, so, like those two, like fan art that I've seen of just those two, called the Wither Duo, something like that. I feel like. Anyway, so yes, we do like. Also, so many references of skulls was looked at and searched, and I almost changed the pose for this because I wasn't sure if it looked a bit weird to me. The way like they were both grasping the skull, but I just didn't really know how else to draw it, so I kind of just stuck with it in the end. I think it looks alright. Oh yeah. And then we have the darkness. And I can tell you, this was the very last frame that I did. Literally on the day that I was editing it, I thought, oh, this was the last frame that I drew, and then I inserted this. And that was the last thing that I edited, was inserting this picture. Because literally, I decided, because this was black previously, just this entire time. And then it would come up to the whole boogeyman of session 6, was it? So yeah, it took a long. It was a lot of black, and I thought, no, I need to add something there. So we'll add the boogeyman. Also, the Watcher's symbol of evolution, because those of you who watched Martin's POV got a whole bunch of juicy lore, especially those of us who have watched Martin for a long time. And like I said, I discovered Green and Hermitcraft and everything through Martin, through Evolution. So Green's first series that I ever watched was Evolution, so it was awesome to see a callback to Evolution there. And then we have the boogies. And this is, again, you got the color contrast of the yellow background and the purple eyes that are glowing. And then down here we have all the victims of the characters as well. In like the position and the, I guess, mental state, like their reactions to being murdered by their boogeyman. So Joel came in from behind almost and just smacked Lizzie, who was not prepared, and she was just a bit angry at him generally when he blew up her house. There was chaos when Mumbo exploded the crystal, so B-Dubs was a bit confused and kind of like shouting about angry B-Dubs. You know how B-Dubs is sometimes noisy and confused. That's a lot how you can describe B-Dubs. Scott knocking Impulse off a ledge. Impulse had no idea what was going on. Etho attacking Mumbo after he'd killed B-Dubs. So Mumbo's like, no wait, don't kill me, as in I'm cured, I'm no longer the boogeyman. But Etho was also a boogie. B-Dubs attacking Tango, who was just kind of like listening to the best meeting. And Jimmy trapping Lizzie again, so we got 2 Lizzie deaths, but this time Lizzie falling into a hole because she was also facing Jimmy, so that's kind of that. The 6 boogies of, I think Grian was kind of like talking about how low the chances are of so many boogies happening, and it's like below 1% or something like that, I feel like, or just about 1%. Crazy that there was 6. Absolutely crazy. And then we had Mumbo's Fall from Grace. I'll tell you what, drawing a crystal, an end crystal, very, very tricky. I don't recommend. Even though it's maybe just a whole bunch of cubes, it's hard. it's just not something that I enjoyed doing at all. So, but I kind of liked once I had the shape down, I kind of like adding the effects and stuff, like making it glow and yeah, I kind of like that. So yeah, zooming in and the turning crystal, and then he regrets everything that he has done with him exploding so many crystals and then turning red, but not enough to actually stop exploding crystals, if you get what I mean. But basically this was like what I was talking about with their deaths kind of showing on them, if that makes sense. Even because their skins didn't change, I wanted to have some sort of visual cue that they were red. Apart from the eyes, because we had blue eyes before. Oh, hello. We had blue eyes. Come on, Mumbo, blue eyes. And then to red and slightly glowing. So he's got a tattered suit. He's got some explosion scars from all the end crystal explosions that he did. I know he didn't die because of an end crystal explosion, but let's be honest. He took so much damage from explosions with end crystals, and he played around with them so much. I'm pretty sure he would have gotten scars from that, let's be honest. And so basically his suit jacket is so tattered that he leaves it behind. Oh, that's like my headcanon, that he just leaves it behind and just runs around with a tie and a shirt. Yeah, and all the explosion scars across his face, because we love ourselves some scars and traumatized characters. Also, hair is a lot more messy. You've got this pristine and proper guy. I could have made his mustache a bit more messy, but I didn't feel like it too much, because otherwise it would look too much like Dr. Eggman. But yeah, his hair gets a lot more like unkept. As you can see, kind of like he doesn't really care as much anymore. He's just out there for bloodlust. Here, this was actually the first drawing that we drew on stream together. Not together, I drew on stream. Where I did like, I did the line art and the pose and stuff off stream, because that's just boring to watch, but the whole background, the whole colouring and all that, the rendering, the heart and all that, all done on stream. This was actually one of the first drawings that I finished. I think the very first one was this one that I finished. But this was definitely one of the first ones that were completed. And then literally I just copied most of the layers and did another one where he just lets go of the heart. Flies into Scar. And then his eyes turn from red, because he's a red life, to yellow. And this is Tango giving his life to Scar, the life dispenser. At the beginning of the fifth week, was it the fifth? Yeah, it's the 5th week. No, wait, the 6th week. The week where Scar gets a life back and then goes red again in the same episode. But it kind of like shows how the life is forced upon Scar. Like, okay, he's being reckless. He's being he's threatening the best base, and Tango's quite reluctant to give him the life, but he still does it anyway. So and also because it's in the distance, so he's not actually physically handing it over to him. I thought it would be cool to attach it to an arrow and shoot it at Scar that way. And it surrounds him in like a vague heart shape here. And then he goes yellow again. His eyes are yellow. So yeah. I followed the like colour of the eyes, depicting how many lives you have rule only when the characters' skins did it. So Scar did that a lot. Scott did that. I didn't do it for Mumbo or Green or anyone like that. I just made it so that when the character's red, that their eyes are red, universally. And yes, he's drowning. Well done, Scar. This was such a tragic death, but in the most Scar way possible, honestly. So, yeah. Drowns again. I actually originally had him like grasping at his neck. Really love the depiction of giving life. Thank you. Thank you very much. The way I originally had Scar drawn is I had him. A shot of Scar drowning is your favorite. Is it? Awesome. Cool. I liked the lighting that I did, and it kind of has a with these sides here. It kind of has a callback to Pearl going down the ladder. When she was when Lizzie killed her, kind of has a callback to that claustrophobia that you can kind of feel with it getting surrounded. But the way I drawn Scar in this pose first is he was grasping at his neck, and it looked really weird. It kind of looked like he was almost strangling himself or something like that. And I thought, no, that's a bit too graphic, so I'm gonna get rid of that hand. And he's just reaching up to grasp for air, but he doesn't make it. He drowns. He drowns. And then the bubble's moving. And then we have the rage. Tango attacking B-dubs, who's still got like a little bit of residue from having just been a boogie just recently. Kind of like the curse is still fading from him, which is why we've got a little bit of like white pupil and a little bit of purple, but not too much. This one is actually this whole pose set was inspired by what's her name? Sweetest Honeybee. They do a lot of Last Life Animatics and not Last Life, but Hermitcraft, Last Life, all that kind of thing, fan art, and they are absolutely amazing. If you haven't seen anything that they've done, they are so good. Let's see if any recommendations are any. Yes, Sing to Me, Sweetest Honeybee, yeah. They did this one, and they also did another couple about Scar, and they are amazing. I would definitely recommend having a check them out if you haven't seen them. Also their Instagram, because it's always, I love seeing their drawings. And they did a drawing of Skiz holding back Tango's trying to strangle B-dubs. And that kind of like inspired this pose set, so I definitely want to give credit where credit is due. Sweetest Honeybee, amazing. So yeah, Tango has the rage. I saw the way some people did it was his hair being on fire, but I like the idea of his eyes just showing all the hatred that he had there in that moment, like bashing it up against the wall. Yeah, I liked. This was a lot of fun to do as well, although a tricky set of poses, I must say. Oh, black. Oh, and then this one. These are very quick coming. So Mumbo has lost his shirt, and these 4 drawings, something like that. Very, very quick succession with the confrontation of the previous Southerners. I really wish Impulse had been there as well, because it would have been very poetic. But I'm glad Impulse wasn't killed, because he was red at that point. So I'm kind of happy that Impulse wasn't there at that point. So, you know, because he probably would have been killed along with Mumbo and Jimmy. Because Green was on a rampage. Mr. Fluffy Hair. Not too much to say about this. I took a lot of reference pictures because I definitely wanted you to... even though these are very quick, flashing scenes, I definitely wanted people to understand where they were, where the characters were. I was also way too lazy to finish off Martin's foot, so like the terrain goes in front of his foot. That's totally why. that is there. Yeah, so I think that's all I have to say with this one, with this very quick succession. There's a lot that happens in these short frames, so I'll scroll back. Jimmy falling. Honestly, I've drawn Jimmy falling twice now. If I had $1 for, or if I had a nickel for every time I drew Jimmy being pushed off a ledge, I'd have 2 nickels, which isn't a lot, but it's weird it happened twice. I'll show you what I mean quickly in case you hadn't seen it before. I think it's on the blank now. Yep. Go on to here. I did some Empires SMP fan art way back, where it was the moment of this drawing assist is on. There we go. It was when if you watch Empires SMP, it was when Sausage pushed Jimmy off the edge after he'd defeated the dragon, because Sausage had been corrupted by Zornoth, and we've got Whip hiding in the background there. Because honestly, this was an amazing. This is exactly what I had in mind, or this is exactly how I pictured it. It was so visually interesting, this whole scene. Great storytelling and stuff. So I will not forget this moment because you helped defeat the Grand Dragon. Again, I have no consistency on how to draw Jimmy. I don't know how to draw him. But yeah, also my first time drawing Whip and Sausage. So I'm thinking of maybe looking more into doing some Empires SMP now that Last Life is over. So yeah. I would like to thank you very much. So there's Jimmy falling, being pushed off a ledge. And also Whip running away. Right, let me just go back to blank and swap around again. This isn't the best way of organising things. Right. Back we are. So yeah, second time I drew Jimmy being pushed off a ledge. I'd have 2 nickels, which isn't a lot, but it's weird it happened twice. And then that's Green stood at the top there with kind of like blood dripping from his sword because he did actually slash at Jimmy. And this, I saw questions about this. This is Mumbo checking Jimmy for a pulse, because that's how I kind of like I envisioned it. Because Mumbo goes down to where Jimmy died and then looks up at Green like in complete disgust and shock, as much as an 8x8 pixel character can do, face can do. But he kind of like there's like real shock in his voice and kind of he can't believe that Green actually killed Jimmy. So he goes to check for a pulse and there's nothing there. Jimmy's gone. We've lost Jimmy. Poor baby. And that's basically Mumbo going like, I can't believe you killed him. Jimmy's gone. And then Mumbo going hostile because he killed Jimmy. So that's why that happened, I guess. But yeah, I kind of wanted the way kind of Mumbo reacted to Jimmy's death. That was really, maybe it feels like such a small moment, but it was very poignant to me. It was the emotion behind it were kind of strong. Maybe I'm reading too much into this. I mean, Mumbo's not a very RP heavy character, or the way he plays his character. It's not a very RP heavy content creator. You could really feel Mumbo's shock in that scene. Exactly. It really stayed with me. And it felt like that Mumbo was really trying in that scene to avenge Jimmy, because he was like, I can't let this go because Green has just murdered one of the Southerners. How dare he? And that's how I feel like why he turned back and decided to fight Green. So yeah. And the way I reason with Green actually killing Mumbo there is because he kind of had right to kill Jimmy because Jimmy was provoking, and Jimmy did end up falling to his death. So I don't feel like Green really intended to kill Jimmy there, but there was some real intent behind Green killing Mumbo. And the way I see it is Green. So from a story point of view, this is what Green's perspective is. He knows what it's like to be red. He knows like the bloodlust that you get from being red, the way it takes over. And he's seen Mumbo spiral into this abyss of bloodlust and anger and madness. And Green has decided he wants to save Mumbo from it. It's like it's terrible to watch Mumbo like this. And so he's basically, him killing Mumbo is him freeing him from whatever like the red life curse or the red life illness, whatever you want to call it, does to you, gives you this bloodlust. He's freeing him from it so that Mumbo can be Mumbo again, kind of, in the ghost world, if that makes sense. And you can kind of see it here if you zoom in, with how the red kind of flees from Mumbo's eyes, and you can see the blue again as soon as he's been killed. Or as soon as he's got a sword through his chest, when that he's not going to survive. His eyes kind of turn more bluish again to kind of reveal that the old Mumbo is back, and like the shock on his face is okay, of course, of being stabbed, but also like he realizes what he's done as a Red Life, which wasn't a lot actually. I don't think he killed anyone. Scott killed himself, so I don't think he actually murdered anyone. But he realized like what the red curse does to you in that moment, and it's kind of fading from view as the life fades from him, and that's kind of like the image I have had of it, and the way I could kind of justify Grian killing Mumbo in that moment, kind of just to release his friend from this horrid thing that is Red Life stuff, you know. You thought you saw Mumbo's eyes fade a little there? Exactly. Keen eye. So that was definitely like a detail that I definitely wanted to mention here. So yeah, just definitely wanted to add that. And then Grian's obviously sad that his friend's gone. I'm just gonna pause it. Obviously sad that his friend's gone, kind of mourning Mumbo, obviously. Oh, this is heartbreaking. I know. It's sad. Almost as heartbreaking as B-Dubs' death. Which, honestly, I didn't actually put as much in the animatic. Again, kind of like going back to how lots of people had already depicted B-Dubs' death. So I felt like that story had already been told. Okay, it hadn't been told by me, and I could obviously have added a different spin on it. But it wouldn't have added a lot of new stuff, so that's kind of why I skimmed over it a little in this animatic. That, and also I was running out of time, so if I'd have had more time and more song to fill, I would have gone into that more. But I felt it was more important to kind of show this parting, this moment more, because sorry, I had to burp there. Kind of this parting more because I hadn't seen it as much done as much like in the animatic community, in the Last Life Animatic community. So I felt like that was a scene that I wanted to depict. Yeah. And then obviously in the background, you've got Martin coming in while Grian is mourning the death of his friend, his best friend, I'd say, his partner. Martin comes in the back and severs ties, influenced by the Watchers whose symbol are in his eyes. And the reason why I drew the Watchers in his boogeyman up eyes, I guess, here is because they were talking to him, and they were specifically saying, you should target Grian, this is where you cut ties, you've been given the power to take him out. Which he fails in the end, but you know, you can't have everything. So that's why I've got the Watcher symbol there, because he's being specifically led by the Watchers to go after Grian, while Grian's in his moment of mourning. But then Joel gets him in the end, so honestly, I loved that moment so much. I watched Joel's perspective on that video first, and the way he got Grian. It was so good, and like Martin's frustration in the end, it was so good. I loved it. And then we go, this is like the climax of the song, so there's a room where the light won't find you. These three spent like so much time underground, I couldn't not draw them in this scene. Also, I hadn't done Pearl yet, and I haven't drawn Pearl nearly enough, but again, she was a character that didn't have a lot of story-centric stuff that I could go off of. I mean, it's not like it's a roleplay server, but I kind of went more with characters that had stuff to interpret in them, I guess. But yeah, again, so here we can go into Clio's flowers that she has in her hair. And hold on, I need to go and have a look to see if I still have these screenshots. Because I actually I went like and googled flowers that meant betrayal. So one of them, this one up here, is a black dahlia. And they have negative meanings. They symbolize betrayal, sadness, and other negative emotions. So the betrayal of Big B. And then this one here is A. Where is it? A zinnia. And generally just zinnias mean like, generally zinnias are thoughts of absent friends. And so I thought this could be like a flower because kind of representing B-dubs and his death, because Clio and B-dubs have always had good moments in like Third Life and Last Life, and they feel like a strong there's a strong connection between both of them from Third Life, even in Last Life. So this is kind of in remembrance of B-dubs, even though as the animatic goes, he hadn't died yet. He'd only died here, but we're gonna ignore that. We're gonna ignore that detail there. He wasn't even red by this point, so we're gonna ignore that little detail. But it's kind of like in remembrance of B-dubs. Kind of in honor of him, she's wearing that flower in her hair. So yeah, glowy Scott. We like glowy. This was the only time that I drew his glowing armband, I realised, but I really wanted a glowing armband because I thought that would look cool. And then just otherwise glowy stuff. We like glowy Scott. Scott's glowing. And this is kind of like also a reference to the Who Are You Really animatic, where you had Mumbo, Lizzie, and Pearl. Kind of like the three of them in like the climax of the first, the beginning of the first chorus, a big moment, all zooming towards the camera, you know, that kind of thing. Kind of a small little reference to that part of the animatic. And obviously holding hands while the world comes tumbling down. Or while the walls come tumbling down. This was literally, as soon as I saw this happening, I knew this had to be in the animatic at this exact moment. It was so perfect. So holding hands, B-dubs and Etho, the canonical husbands of Last Life. If flower husbands were the OTP, I say this in quotations. I don't want to ship anyone. Their characters. This is all in good fun. I mean, Scott and Jimmy were kind of like accepting the headcanon that they were flower husbands. These two bickered like a married couple, and they joked about them being married. So I don't ship anyone, but I love the whole fun about it. So like, yeah, the married couple in quotation marks of the Last Life series. With their base and then the wither coming over them. So holding hands while the walls come tumbling down. Ooh, and it's black already. And here we've got the wither kind of ready to shoot at Etho. Everything's kind of encompassing him. He's feeling very small with like the world growing behind him, and the wither growing. And B-dubs, his shield in the background here with his sword and his cloak, kind of signifying he's already fallen. His dead body's in the background, and Etho still needs to keep fighting. But then reinforcements come and help him. And this is kind of like, this next scene is maybe a very stark jump. But I wanted Etho mourning B-dub's body, and it originally wasn't going to be like up in the hills where B-dub's last life was taken. Last life. But I kind of thought, well, we should kind of have Etho wanting to avenge B-dubs because of the arrow that was shot into him. So I imagine Etho went and looked for B-dubs' body once it happened, and Ren came and gave him like a new purpose to kind of like get revenge, I guess. I don't know. Oh, also Etho's bandana thing has an E now instead of just a block, and the scar is more prominent. That was kind of Etho's updates on his character design. So yeah, this is like in a snowy area, which is a very stark, very strong contrast to like the red and the fiery, warm area that this place looks like. Versus, yeah, like up in the mountains, which is where I imagine like B-dub's body lying in the snow in the dark where Etho finds it, with the arrow still fresh in it, or in him. And yeah, Rendog comes to comfort him with with his cloak on, kind of like, I found it very difficult to merge the characters' skins if they changed their skins very often, which Martin and Rendog did. I found it very difficult to kind of make it so that their original outfits and stuff, that they didn't look too different, if that makes sense. They were still recognizable as characters. And so I basically, with the Shadow Alliance, I just draped a purple cloak over their normal skin, I decided. And gave Martin also a yellow scarf at some point. So that's what I did there. So this is basically Rendog's Shadow Alliance cloak. You know, werewolf boy, got a tail. And also his watch, which has the symbol of the Watchers kind of reflecting in it. As in, the Watchers, pun intended. But kind of showing that he is being in the Shadow Alliance, which is kind of influenced by the Watchers. Even though the Watchers didn't talk to him like they did to Martin. But he's kind of also under the influence of the Shadow Alliance, of the Watchers, by being in the Shadow Alliance. And he's kind of inviting Etho into the Alliance like that. And like into the influence of the Watchers, if that makes sense. Also, Etho is hellbent on revenge. So, you didn't really necessarily get it, but this is another one of my favourite frames. I really like this frame. I'm so happy with my Etho design here. Detail of the watch was awesome. Thank you. Thank you so much, Paisley. This was also heartbreaking. So glad we've almost made it. Martin, his intro in week 8 was heartbreaking, man. When he was talking to the pumpkins and doing Mumbo's intro for him, and I just imagine like Jimmy, Impulse, and Mumbo all kind of like following him. No longer influenced by the red curse or the red illness, whatever we want to call the Red Lives problem that they had. Because they're still kind of like cheering Martin on because he's not gone insane like Grian has, kind of thing. And also Martin is being heavily influenced by the Watchers who are in the moon. This is basically the moment that I imagine him running through the forest. I think it was the beginning of I can't remember when it was. I think it was the beginning of his episode 8 after his intro. He's running through the forest at night, like running to Wren's. And the voices are talking to him and he's like, well, I don't want to listen to you anymore. And they're like, yes, but we can bring them back. And that's why he stops and starts listening to them again. So yeah, Martin's lore was chef's kiss. Amazing. I loved the way he told the story, and the story that he told. I screamed when it was revealed that it was the Watchers talking to him. So yeah, so good, so good. I also loved the ghost designs. I loved doing this wispy thing at the bottom here. It was a lot of fun. This is also one of my favorite frames. It's between this one and the B-Dubs Etho base split, like I said previously. And then we've got so glad we've almost made it. So Martin's almost has made it, and he'll be able to bring his friends back into the world. Or that's what he thought. And he'd been manipulated to think that. And then we've got Scott. I thought I'd add a couple of little freckles to Scott, because if we've got a close-up of a face, then we must add freckles. Scott resisting the boogie curse. And just kind of like not wanting to, kind of like there's tears in his eyes. He doesn't want to kill any of his friends. And then he closes the eyes, kind of like, no, I don't want to do this. But then it consumes him and he's got red eyes. So yeah, he pays the price of choosing not to boogie it up, as you could say. But Pearl does not choose to... Pearl chooses violence. She chooses to try and actually take out multiple people. So that is a whole thing. This was another one of those drawings that I did on stream. It was a lot of work, especially trying to get it onto... I ran out of how many layers that I could do very quickly, so that was fun. But like getting this explosion on different layers that I could build up on. But yeah, Pearl looking ever so menacing as the final boogie of the series. It was a very good boogie as well. I loved as soon as Pearl mentioned the green clubhouse to them. I think I watched Clio first on that time. As soon as Pearl mentioned it to the group, I was like, oh gosh, Pearl's a boogie. and when Clio stayed out of the room, I was like, yes, smart of you to stay out of the room. Pearl's the boogie. She's going to explode them all. So yeah. And then Martin and his final stand on Magic Mountain. This was such a powerful image that he did. It was so cool. Like as soon as I saw Magic Mountain with lava trickling down, it was, you're watching Clio and you think screamed. Yeah, exactly. Well, when Clio tried to kill 3 people, imagine Clio had gotten them. Were Martin and Etho already on red by then? I can't remember. No, Martin was had Etho already been exploded by a creeper? I can't remember. But gosh. No, I think they were all on yellow by then. So basically she could have made 3 okay, Rendog didn't actually really care that much. He was like, Clio, respect for you. That was fine. But yeah, so on Twitter, Martin commented on how cool the shot was. I know! I was so honoured by the fact that he'd seen it. Yeah, they were all yellows, so she would have gotten 3 to red. I was so honoured. I was so honoured at Martin's tweet. That was so cool. It was like, I think it was like the morning after the animatic, and I'm not active on Twitter, so I would have had no idea if someone hadn't told me on Instagram. And then also like the person that shared it on Twitter as well. Just, you guys are amazing. It was so kind. It was so kind of those people to do that. That was that was so sweet. I woke up and I saw that and I screeched, and my parents were like, what is wrong with this girl? So it's really special as well, because like I said, Martin was, I've watched Martin of all the Minecraft content creators, or any content creator actually, I've watched Martin the longest, like consistently. I mean, okay, I'm not a huge fan of Fortnite, but everything else that he does, I love. And he's such a good content creator, really underrated. And just having him be like, that is exactly what I had in mind, was just awesome, because he showed such a powerful image with this like lava trickling down. It was such a powerful image that I knew immediately. I know, like the first time I watched it from Clio's perspective first, I think. First time I saw it, I immediately took a screenshot because I was like, I'm drawing that. I'm definitely drawing that. So yeah, it was a very powerful image, and it had to be drawn like that exactly. And the whole with like the characters being red, who are red, and Martin being yellow, especially these characters like the enemies, quote unquote, being red, that is taken inspiration from Late August. Their animatics where the bad guys are often depicted as red. So Late August also does amazing animatics. If you haven't heard of them before, they are amazing. Go and check them out. Dream SMP animatics, but they're still really good. Even if you don't like the Dream SMP, I recommend watching the animatics, because they're also fully coloured and they are a huge inspiration to any kind of animatic that I've done. So yeah, this was just such a powerful image that I just had to add it. It was so good. And this was also, I drew this on stream as well. So this was the 3rd one that I did on stream. Yeah, just kind of like drawing and getting stuff done while live streaming. It was a lot of fun. I'll definitely do some more drawing on stream again. Yeah, it was such a powerful image. I loved it. And then we had fun fact, actually, this was going to be a completely different drawing. I finished this on Sunday. I started this on Saturday evening, like at 11 p.m, and finished it on Sunday. and release the video on Monday kind of thing. But I finished editing on Sunday as well. So I drew this on Sunday and finished the edit on Sunday. Because the drawing that I had previously, I wonder if I still have it. Hold on. Do I still have that drawing? Did I delete it? That's a good question. No, I still have it. It's a really bad drawing. It's like, because I wanted the whole fight scene. So give me a sec. Let's go to blank. So that I can swap around to my iPad again. And then to iPad. There we go. So this was a scene that was going to be there originally, and I actually finished it and I'd put it into the video, but I was so unhappy with how it looked that I just yeah, it was going to be a whole fight scene with Pearl and her wolves, Ren kind of running in with potions, Clio running with potions, Etho immediately attacking Joel, and Scott versus Green in the pool in the river. But it just didn't feel right. It felt really like, yeah, I'm not very good at fight scenes, I must say. So I kind of just decided, you know what? Let's just try and focus more on characters and like character expressions, because that's my strong point, right? That's kind of more where I feel like I am better, if that makes sense. Go back to this. So yeah, I drew this on the day that I finished the editing. So yeah, it was a little bit last minute. Maybe you can kind of see the background is a bit last minute as well. But I thought this really captured the way this really captured the way that those two were being like hunted down, and the way Joel was trying to communicate and be like team, and Green was just generally like, no, Joel, this is the end. This is not going to end well. This is our final stand. So I thought it was very funny, and I thought I could kind of add to it, where we've even got the right amount of weapons here. So I think I kind of like imagine Pearl with the bow, because I drew Pearl with the bow previously. A sword like for Ren, Scott, Etho with his axe, and Clio. So there's even enough weapons pointing at them, as many people as there were in the actual fight up against Joel and Green. And I wanted to add more Joel to the thing, because I do think he's pretty cool. So yeah, we're almost finished. And then I've got to pause quickly. So then we have the 3 flashes of the final deaths in the Battle Royale. First, Pearl with the wolves. And I wanted a very simple background again here. I went back and forth with lots of different backgrounds on these 3 particularly. So Pearl, Ren, and Martin's demise. Or final deaths. But I then just stuck with like a dark blue streaky background, so like everything else is blurred. So because they only flash up open for like a minuscule amount of time, so you need to understand very quickly what's happening. So yeah, Martin in the hole that he blew himself up in. This is honestly, I think I feel like it would have been more poetic justice if Mumbo had blown himself up with a crystal and his last life, but it ended up being Martin, which is fine. I just realized a mistake in my drawing. I never switched off the sketch layer. You can see that is some sketch Martin there. You can't really see it, but it's not that noticeable because there's some sketch layers in the background. Actually, yeah, I feel like that layer should have been switched off. Yeah, because the other sketch layers are off completely. So another editing mistake. If you edit for more than 6 hours straight, then that's definitely going to happen. Mistakes are going to happen. So didn't switch off, didn't deactivate Martin's sketch layer, but that's fine. Something I only just realized myself. And then Scott still aiming at Ren, thinking like, is he going to move, or have I finally killed him? And then realizing I've killed him, and because he's the last one standing, the curse of the Reds fades, and he realized in a horrifying moment, he realized in a very lonely moment, I guess, that he's killed everyone else and he's the only one left in that world. And I can imagine, like, it's at this moment that he comes to the realization, or he reaches another level of understanding, where he can then hear the Watchers and see their thing, and see their logo, their symbol in the moon. It's like when you kill the Ender Dragon in Minecraft. Like, there's these two characters talking to each other in the end credits, and it's kind of like, yes, the player has reached another level of understanding now. They can hear or they can read our thoughts or our conversations. And I kind of imagine that this is what happened to Scott, that when he won Last Life, that he reached a new level of understanding, or I guess, understanding, where he could then hear the Watchers and see their symbol in the moon. And then he realizes in a horrifying moment that they were behind it all, and he played their game. And then the Watchers dispose of him as they see fit, with lightning. I was really running out of song basically here, and I definitely wanted like a lightning strike to signify the last person's death. I wanted to draw Impulse's death or like Skiz's death, but there wasn't space for it. So it was. Yeah, I didn't quite know where to do the lightning strike, but I thought it would be cool at the end here, like the very, very last final death, if that makes sense. With Scott going, and then the moon fades out, and the Watcher symbol fades out afterwards. And that was Everyone Wants to Rule the World. The second animatic that I did. So yeah, part 1 was Who Are You Really? Honestly, the support and the kind words have been amazing. Let's just go back to a nice frame. Let's go back to this one while I'm talking. So we've got a nice backdrop. The support has been amazing on these animatics. It's just, it's been, I've loved being part of this fandom. And I will continue to be part of this fandom, like I said. Everyone's been so nice and so supportive. It's honestly the best internet experience I've ever had. It's been great. I've loved it. So thank you so much for the support. I will continue doing art. More stuff will arrive on the channel. We'll just see what inspiration hits me next. Because honestly, when inspiration hits, then I feel like I can't breathe until I've done it. Until it's done. So, I think I'm going to end it there. I've got an incredibly sore throat from 3 hours of talking straight. So I think I'm going to leave it there. My water bottle is empty. I thank you so much for stopping by. Let me just do this. There we go. So I can go back to my thing. There we go. There was a blocked chat because Climax. Obviously, apparently the chat, the auto mod didn't like the word climax there. So I don't know if it was intentional, but I love the contrast between the two songs chosen for the animatic. You were really well. You ended off on a climax while this ended on a somber note. It really helped connect the two animatics. Yeah, that wasn't actually intentional. No, I didn't actually think about that. that wasn't... I don't know why the auto mod didn't like the word climax. That wasn't intentional, but I think if I'd done it the other way around, yeah, it wouldn't have worked as well. I definitely had everyone wants to rule the world in the back of my head this whole time. But like I thought Who Are You really fitted a lot more to the beginning. So yeah, you're right. It wasn't intentional, but that is definitely something that I had thought that's quite a thought. So we'll see. We'll see what the people from Last Life do. I mean, I do follow them on their other series. I follow Empires, I follow Hermitcraft, so we'll see if I feel inspired to do something else, to do another animatic. But until then, I think I'll just do single fan arts, more drawing. Yeah, we'll see what's next for this I guess for this Twitch channel, but also for the YouTube channel. I'm gonna leave it there. I wonder if... Oh, hello. I wonder if anyone... No, none of my friends are streaming right now. So I won't send you guys to anyone for now. I'll let you disperse as you please. Thank you so much for stopping by. It's been great. Like all the love and support. It's been amazing. You guys have been really, really awesome. And I look forward to making more, to being more part of this community and creating more stuff, because I do love creating. So yeah, thank you so much for stopping by. Thank you for chatting in chat. I had a very good time with everyone, and we'll see what happens next. Again, thank you so much for the support on the animatics. We'll see. We'll see where life takes us next. So I'll see you next time, I guess. I do plan in future streams, as in very soon. I might actually stream this weekend. I'm gonna do a bit more gaming again, because I kind of put gaming on hold to get the animatic done. And my brother has been bugging me a lot because I do a lot of gaming with him, so that's probably something that's going to happen. That's probably going to be the next stream. Some Minecraft play, let's play, gaming stuff, I guess. We've got a server called the Pearl SMP that we like to play on, and we're going to update to 1.18 soon, so that'll be quite fun to explore the new chunks. So because I'm guessing you guys like Minecraft, so if you want to stop by for that as well, make sure you have notifications on. But yeah, otherwise, again, thank you so much for stopping by. It's been a great time. But I will let you disperse over the internet, and I will see you next time. Goodbye.